Chapter 1005. My brothers have been very helpful for the past 2 days. Although my birthday was very dull, I wasn't lonely with all of you around. Thank you, Kur136, for the tip. Congratulations on becoming the second sect master. The demon court and the land of exile each had a blood altar that was connected to each other. The souls returned. The blood altar itself was an unimaginable supreme treasure, which contained endless magical powers. Once the soul and true spirit entered the altar, as long as there was enough flesh power, the true spirit could be reborn, and a new body could be built. This was a true rebirth. As soon as the ancient true spirits entered, they were immediately formed into demon bodies by the blood altar. However, as they formed their demon bodies, the sea of blood around the blood altar was constantly decreasing. The flesh and blood energy inside was rapidly being depleted. Fortunately, countless demons in the city knew and sent large amounts of ferocious beast flesh and blood to the altar every day. The accumulated flesh and blood energy had reached an incredible level. Otherwise, creating hundreds of millions of demonic bodies at once would most likely exhaust all of the flesh and blood energy that he had accumulated. The eyes of the many ancient demon warriors flashed with joy for life, as well as deep gratitude. We have been reborn as soldiers under the demon emperor. We have been reborn as soldiers under the demon emperor. Almost every ancient demon who had formed their demon bodies said without hesitation. Their voices were filled with undeniable determination and certainty. This was their oath. The blood altar? The demon emperor actually sent those ancient true spirits into the altar to help them reconstruct their demon bodies. This was simply a huge matter. Once they are reborn, the demon race will have endless resources. If the demon court was established without these ancient true spirits, it would have taken a lot of time even if it had accumulated enough resources. However, this is equivalent to directly making up for the accumulation of resources. This will make the demon court a powerful force that cannot be ignored. In the demon court of Lingxiao, countless cultivators from various clans fell into deep thought. If the demon clan really obtained the hundreds of millions of ancient demon clan elites, what kind of earth-shattering change would it bring to the demon clan's strength? Although the hundreds of millions of ancient demon clan elites were not even 1,000th of the ancient demon clan's overall strength, it was still a terrifying force that could not be ignored. At the very least, they had the ability to contend with any of the 100 races in the universe. The demon race is indeed a powerful race that once dominated the world in ancient times. Even though they lost all their elites in the ancient war, they still left behind such a hidden trump card. Indeed, until the very end, no one knows what kind of hidden trump card they have, let alone an overlord like the demon race. All of them were inwardly awed. No one would have thought that the demon race would still have such a trump card after suffering the betrayal of the human race. This was a trump card for a desperate counterattack. At this moment, he recalled that in ancient times, the demon clan was the overlord of the world. He couldn't help but wonder how many trump cards the demon race had left for their descendant. The demon court has been established. Your Majesty, please take the throne. Your Majesty shall be the demon emperor. At this moment, whose face was flushed red, and even his beard was sticking up. This moment was a grand occasion for the demon race. It was an indestructible event that would be recorded in the history of the demon race. It was a milestone in history and a turning point in the fate of the demon race. As a witness, the blood in his body was boiling violently. Your Majesty, please ascend the throne. Whoosh! In the demon court, almost all the demon race knelt down without hesitation. They looked at the majestic figure with fanatical eyes and let out earth-shattering cheers. There was a look of anticipation in their eyes. The demon court had been established. Naturally, there should be a demon emperor. Now, the candidate for the demon emperor almost fell on Di Shirtian without a doubt. No one would have any objections to this choice. They chose an emperor who had made countless contributions to the demon race. The air began to freeze at this moment. All eyes were focused on Tion. It was as if even breathing had begun to stop. Just one sentence and it would be greeted with endless cheers. The Demon Emperor of the Demon Race was a title that had never been given since ancient times. There could be many Demon Emperors, but there was only one Demon Emperor. Tion looked up at the void and then at the 10 billion demon race in the demon court. There was a surge of hot blood in his heart, as if his blood was constantly boiling. Demon Emperor? Naturally, he would not give it to anyone. No matter when, if it was his, he must take it. If it was not his, he would not take it. Sometimes it was important to take responsibility. Tion opened his mouth and was about to agree. However, at this moment, an unexpected turn of events began to take place. Wait! An abrupt voice suddenly echoed in the sky above the ancient city and fell into the ears of every cultivator. At this moment, the voice was like thunder in winter, shocking countless cultivators. Who is it? Who dares to interrupt the Demon Emperor when he is about to ascend to the throne? There is a saying that blocking one's path to wealth is like killing one's parents. Killing one's parents is absolutely irreconcilable. Interrupting the Demon Emperor's ascension to the throne is absolutely irreconcilable. Who dares to do this? At this moment, almost no one dared to interrupt. This was the moment when the Demon Emperor was about to ascend to the throne. If it was interrupted, it would truly be a fight to the death. They would really be beaten to death. Even crushing their bones and scattering their ashes would not be enough to vent their anger. Oh my God, he's really bold. If looks could kill, the gazes of the billions of demons in the Lingshao demon court would have torn the one who tried to stop him into pieces. The all-heavens cultivators were secretly astonished. They could not help but be secretly curious about the person who had interrupted the Demon Emperor's ascension. They all looked in the direction of the voice. In midair, a figure stood in the air. This figure exuded faint traces of demon chi. The aura exuding from his body was unusually strange, as if heaven and earth could not restrain him and he could ride the wind. It was a middle-aged man, but his features were very handsome. His blood-red hair fluttered behind his head. On his back was a slender, strange sword. He wore a long red robe and there seemed to be a ball of fire dancing between his brows. As he stood in the air, he naturally exuded an intimidating aura. The corners of his mouth were pulled into a faint trace of evil. He exuded a unique aura. Even the billions of gazes that seemed to want to devour him did not affect him in the slightest. His eyes were still fixed on Tion. A kind of pressure that seemed to come from the great Tao was faintly fluctuating. You were the one who stopped I just now. A chilling light shot out from Tion's eyes. It contained a supreme will that directly pressed down on the other party. He said calmly, "You have demon chi on your body. You are also an expert of the demon race. Who are you?" That will was enough to crush the void to pieces. But when it landed on the other party, it was like a stone sinking into the sea. It did not even cause a ripple. "I am the red blood demon," the red-haired man said with a faint smile as he looked at Tion. "You stopped me from ascending to the throne." Tion looked at him calmly. He asked calmly, "That's right." The red blood demon nodded without hesitation and said meaningfully, "I admit that what you have done in the past makes you qualified to be an emperor and become the demon emperor of the demon race. However, no matter how many merits you have, they are all in the past. If you become an emperor, what benefits can you bring to the demon race? Can you lead the demon race to rise quickly? Can you bring the demon race back to the glory of the ancient times?" The red blood demon was also shrewd. As he spoke, he directly threw all of Tion's previous merits aside and used the past tense. He even seized the opportunity to ask questions one after another. It could be said that he played to his strengths and avoided his weaknesses. He was very cunning. "Oh!" Indra looked meaningfully at the red blood demon venerable who had suddenly appeared, as if he didn't care about his question at all. He said indifferently, "Then you mean, if you become the demon emperor, you can bring about the rise of the demon race and restore the glory of the ancient times?" The corner of his mouth revealed an inexplicable smile. That smile seemed to be very gentle. "Damn it, he deserves to be killed. I should extract his divine soul and let him suffer endless torture in the nether prison for hundreds of millions of years. Where did this red blood demon come from? I have never heard of such an expert in the ancient times. However, no matter who he is, he dares to provoke you at this time. You must beat him to death 100 times. This kind of person who dares to jump out and challenge your authority should be directly trampled to death. He is too hateful." Ming's eyes were red, and he almost went crazy in the nether prison. Originally, he was still watching Di Shirtian become the emperor, but at this time, someone came to stir up trouble. He almost wanted to strangle him alive. Of course, when the red blood demon heard this, not only did he not feel embarrassed, he said with certainty, "If I become the emperor, I naturally have the confidence to lead the demon race back to glory. I know the countless secret realms and the locations of treasures in the various world. Every treasure trove could bring endless wealth. I also know that there is a supreme divine artifact hidden in the chaos, the city of chaos. As long as I become the emperor, I naturally have the confidence to lead the demon race back to glory. In my opinion, the position of the demon emperor should be given to a worthy person who can bring greater benefits to the demon race." As he said this, he looked as if he was unwilling to pass on this responsibility, and did not hide his attitude of wanting to compete with Di Shirtian for the demon emperor position. He knows the countless secret realms and the locations of treasures in the various worlds? The supreme divine artifact, the city of chaos? How come I've never heard of such a divine artifact? There's a good show to watch. There really is someone who is not afraid of death, jumping out to compete with the demon emperor for the throne. This red blood demon dares to appear. Could there be some hidden conspiracy behind it? He must know that now all the demon race is loyal to Di Shirtian. Even if the demon god appears, this belief will not be shaken. So what is he trying to do by jumping out? The souls of the cultivators in the various heavens began to burn fiercely. They watched the development of the matter unblinkingly, afraid to miss any moment. "Demon Emperor, what can you bring to the demon race?" The red blood demon asked Di Shirtian playfully. "I can only give you this." Di Shirtian looked at him indifferently, stretched out his right hand, and with a flash of light, a supreme treasure appeared in his palm. Chapter 1006. My brothers have been very helpful for the past 2 days. Although my birthday was very dull, I wasn't lonely with all of you around. Thank you, Kur136, for the tip. Congratulations on becoming the second sect master. The demon court and the land of exile each had a blood altar that was connected to each other. The souls returned. The blood altar itself was an unimaginable supreme treasure, which contained endless magical powers. Once the soul and true spirit entered the altar, as long as there was enough flesh power, the true spirit could be reborn, and a new body could be built. This was a true rebirth. As soon as the ancient true spirits entered, they were immediately formed into demon bodies by the blood altar. However, as they formed their demon bodies, the sea of blood around the blood altar was constantly decreasing. The flesh and blood energy inside was rapidly being depleted. Fortunately, countless demons in the city knew and sent large amounts of ferocious beast flesh and blood to the altar every day. The accumulated flesh and blood energy had reached an incredible level. Otherwise, creating hundreds of millions of demonic bodies at once would most likely exhaust all of the flesh and blood energy that he had accumulated. The eyes of the many ancient demon warriors flashed with joy for life, as well as deep gratitude. "We have been reborn as soldiers under the demon emperor. We have been reborn as soldiers under the demon emperor." Almost every ancient demon who had formed their demon bodies said without hesitation. Their voices were filled with undeniable determination and certainty. This was their oath. The blood altar? The demon emperor actually sent those ancient true spirits into the altar to help them reconstruct their demon bodies. This was simply a huge matter. Once they are reborn, the demon race will have endless resources. If the demon court was established without these ancient true spirits, it would have taken a lot of time even if it had accumulated enough resources. However, this is equivalent to directly making up for the accumulation of resources. This will make the demon court a powerful force that cannot be ignored. In the demon court of Lingxiao, countless cultivators from various clans fell into deep thought. If the demon clan really obtained the hundreds of millions of ancient demon clan elites, what kind of earth-shattering change would it bring to the demon clan's strength? Although the hundreds of millions of ancient demon clan elites were not even 1,000th of the ancient demon clan's overall strength, it was still a terrifying force that could not be ignored. At the very least, they had the ability to contend with any of the hundreds of races in the universe. The demon race is indeed a powerful race that once dominated the world in ancient times. Even though they lost all their elites in the ancient war, they still left behind such a hidden trump card. As expected, until the end, no one knows what kind of trump card is hidden, let alone an overlord like the demon race. All of them were inwardly awed. No one would have thought that the demon race would still have such a trump card after being betrayed by the human race. This was a trump card for a desperate counterattack. At this moment, he recalled that in ancient times, the demon clan was the overlord of the world. They couldn't help but guess how many trump cards the monster race had left behind for their younger generation. The Fey court has been established. Your Majesty, please be the Fey Emperor. Your Majesty is the Fey Emperor. At this moment, whose face was glowing, and even his beard was sticking up. This moment was a grand occasion for the demon race. It was an indestructible event that would be recorded in the history of the demon race. It was a historical milestone, a turning point in the fate of the demon race. As a witness, the blood in his body boiled violently. Your Majesty, please ascend to the throne. Whoosh! In the demon court, almost all the demon race members knelt down without hesitation. They looked at the majestic figure with fanatical eyes and let out earth-shattering cheers. There was a look of anticipation in their eyes. The demon court had been established, so naturally, there should be a demon emperor. Now, the candidate for the demon emperor almost fell on Di Shirtian without a doubt. No one from the demon race would have any objections to this choice. They chose an emperor who had made countless contributions to the demon race. The air began to freeze at this moment. All eyes were focused on Di Shirtian. It was as if even breathing had begun to stop. Just one sentence would be greeted with endless cheers. The demon emperor of the demon race was a title that had never been given since ancient times. There could be many demon emperors, but there was only one demon emperor. Di Shirtian looked up at the void, then looked at the 10 billion demon race members in the demon court. There was a surge of hot blood in his heart, as if his blood was constantly boiling. Demon Emperor? Naturally, he would not give it to anyone. No matter when, if it was his, he must take it. If it was not his, he would not take it. Sometimes it was important to take responsibility. Di Shirtian opened his mouth and was about to agree. However, at this moment, an unexpected turn of events began to take place. Wait! An abrupt voice suddenly rang out, echoing clearly in the air above the ancient city. It fell into the ears of every cultivator. At this moment, that voice was like thunder in winter, shocking countless cultivators. Who is it? Who dares to interrupt the demon emperor when he is about to ascend to the throne? As the saying goes, blocking one's path to wealth is like killing one's parents. If one kills one's parents, they will not live under the same sky. Interrupting the demon emperor's ascension to the throne is absolutely irreconcilable. Who dares to do this? At this moment, almost no one dared to interrupt. This was the moment of ascension to the throne. If it was interrupted, it would truly be a fight to the death. They would really be beaten to death. Even crushing their bones and scattering their ashes would not be enough to vent their anger. My goodness, this person is really bold. If looks could kill, the gazes of the 10 billion demon race members in the demon court would be enough to tear that person to shreds. The All Heavens cultivators were secretly astonished. They could not help but be secretly curious about the person who had interrupted the ascension. They all looked in the direction of the voice. In midair, a figure stood in the air. This figure exuded faint traces of demon chi. The aura exuding from his body was unusually strange, as if heaven and earth could not restrain him, and he could ride the wind. It was a middle-aged man, but his features were very handsome. His blood-red hair fluttered behind his head, and on his back was a slender strange sword. He wore a long red robe, and there seemed to be a ball of fire dancing between his brows. As he stood in the void, he exuded a naturally intimidating aura, and the corners of his mouth pulled into a faint trace of evil. He exuded a unique aura. Even the billions of gazes that seemed to want to swallow him up did not affect him in the slightest. His eyes were fixed on Di-Shir-Tian from beginning to end. A kind of pressure that seemed to originate from the great Tao was faintly fluctuating. You were the one who stopped I just now. A terrifying cold light shot out from Di-Shir-Tian's eyes, containing a supreme will that directly pressed down on the other party. He said calmly, "You have demon chi on your body. You are also an expert of the demon race. Who are you?" That will was enough to crush the void. But when it landed on the other party, it was like a stone sinking into the sea. It did not even cause a ripple. "I am the red blood demon," the red-haired man said with a faint smile as he looked at Di-Shir-Tian. "You stopped me from ascending to the throne." Di-Shir-Tian looked at him calmly. He asked calmly, "That's right." The red blood demon nodded without hesitation and said meaningfully, "I admit that what you have done in the past makes you qualified to be an emperor and become the demon emperor of the demon race. However, no matter how many merits you have, they are all in the past. If you become an emperor, what benefits can you bring to the demon race? Can you lead the demon race to rise rapidly? Can you bring the demon race back to the glory of the ancient times?" The red blood demon was quite shrewd. As he spoke, he directly threw all of Di-Shir-Tian's previous merits aside and used the past tense. He even seized the opportunity to ask questions one after another. It could be said that he played to his strengths and avoided his weaknesses. He was very cunning. "Oh!" Indra looked meaningfully at Venerable Red Blood, who had suddenly appeared out of nowhere. As if he didn't care about Venerable Red Blood's questioning, he said indifferently, "So you mean, if you become the Demon Emperor, you can bring about the rise of the demon race and restore the glory of the ancient times?" The corner of his mouth revealed an inexplicable smile. That smile seemed to be very gentle. "Damn it, he deserves to be killed. I should extract his divine soul and let him suffer endless torture in the nether prison for hundreds of millions of years. Where did this red blood demon come from? I have never heard of such an expert in the ancient times. However, no matter who he is, he dares to provoke you at this time. You must kill him 100 times. This kind of person who dares to jump out and challenge your authority should be directly trampled to death. He is too hateful." Ming's eyes were red and he almost went crazy in the nether prison. Originally, he was still watching Di-Shir-Tian become the emperor, but at this time, someone came to provoke him. He almost wanted to strangle him alive. Of course, when the red blood demon heard this, not only did he not feel embarrassed, he said with certainty, "If I become the emperor, I naturally have the confidence to lead the demon race back to glory. I know the countless secret realms and the locations of treasures in the various world. Every treasure trove could bring endless wealth. I also know that there is a supreme divine artifact hidden in the chaos, the city of chaos. As long as I become the emperor, I naturally have the confidence to lead the demon race back to glory. In my opinion, The position of the demon emperor should be given to a worthy person who can bring greater benefits to the demon race. As he spoke, he looked as if he was unwilling to pass on his responsibility, and he did not hide his attitude of wanting to compete with Tion for the demon emperor position. He knows the countless secret realms and the locations of treasures in the various worlds? The supreme divine artifact, the City of Chaos? How come I've never heard of such a divine artifact? There's a good show to watch. There really is someone who is not afraid of death, jumping out to compete with the demon emperor for the throne. This red blood demon dares to appear. Could there be some hidden conspiracy behind it? He must know that now all the demon race is loyal to Tion. Even if the demon god appears, this belief will not be shaken. So what is he trying to do by jumping out? The souls of the cultivators in the various heavens began to burn fiercely. They watched the development of the matter unblinkingly, afraid to miss any moment. Demon Emperor, what can you bring to the demon race? The red blood demon asked Tion playfully. I can only give you this. Tion looked at him indifferently, stretched out his right hand, and with a flash of light, a treasure appeared in his palm. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidien. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1007. What's that? This red blood demon, who appeared out of nowhere, clearly wants to compete with the demon emperor in terms of resources. He even sinisterly wiped out the demon emperor's past achievements. He came prepared and has long been eyeing the shifter emperor's position. What kind of conspiracy is this red blood demon venerable hiding behind such a move? With the prestige of the demon emperor, even if he has great ability, I'm afraid that the position of the demon emperor will not fall into his hands. Unless Socration gives up the position of the demon emperor himself, it's impossible for the demon emperor to give up such an important thing. He's courting death. He's courting death. That's not right. There must be some hidden conspiracy. Look, what's that in the demon emperor's hand? That looks like a ladder? However, there didn't seem to be any treasures in the world like this. Now that the demon emperor has taken it out, what exactly is going on? Could it really be a supreme treasure that has never appeared before? The curiosity in the hearts of the all-heavens cultivators could no longer be suppressed. They whispered to each other and discussed spiritedly. When they saw the supreme treasure in Indra's hand, they couldn't help but open their mouths and eyes wide as they looked at the object in amazement. In Deshirtian's hand was a snow-white stairway to heaven. Step by step, the heavenly stairway ascended. It was snow-white without a single flaw. On the heavenly stairway, mysterious Tao runes were drawn. These Tao runes were like little tadpoles that swam around as if they were alive. They gathered together and formed all kinds of shape. Sometimes it was a mountain, sometimes it was water. Sometimes it was birds and beasts, and sometimes it was the blue sky and white clouds. It was as if he could see endless sceneries from above. There seemed to be a boundless world inside. Yin and Yang, the 5 elements, the cycle of reincarnation, and life were all faintly discernible within. The stairway to heaven extended upwards, each step reaching the heavens. There were a total of 81 steps. A hidden aura spread out from the stairway. The aura from the stairway was not a natural spirit treasure, but it was a rare treasure that was not inferior to any supreme treasure. What is this? Almost every cultivator could not help but have the same question. The stairway to heaven seemed extraordinary, but it was not a natural spirit treasure. In terms of value, it was not comparable to the primal chaos city that the red blood demon had mentioned. However, it was still taken out with such caution, which made them feel puzzled. Haha, why didn't I think of that? Lunatic D, you've been preparing for this all along. With this stairway to heaven, whatever bullshit primal chaos city will have to step aside. That's right, even if it's a competition of supreme treasures, we'll trample on this bullshit red blood demon. Let him know that this is not a place for him to be arrogant. When Ming saw the item that Di Shirtian took out, he was stunned for a moment. However, he immediately became excited and shouted excitedly. The ladder to the heavens, each step leading to the heavens. It is passed down through the ages and will last forever. Imperial order. Di Shirtian looked at the stairway to heaven, his expression as calm as ever. He seemed to be able to maintain his composure in the face of great events. With that, the stairway to heaven flew out of his hand and landed on the right side of the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches, where it landed on an empty field. In the process of descending, the entire stairway to heaven expanded at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, it had reached an unbelievable height. The 81 stairway to heaven extended to a height of 10,000 feet, piercing through the clouds. Every step of the stairway to heaven was extremely long and could accommodate tens of thousands of cultivators standing on it. Rumble! The stairs landed on the ground. The bottom of the stairs immediately fused with the divine crystals on the ground, as if it had taken root. It was closely connected to the entire Ling Shao demon court, becoming one with it. The Tao that can be Tao, the extraordinary Tao. The name that can be named, the extraordinary names. In the moment that the stairway to heaven completely merged with the demon court, the ultimate Emperor Jade Archive in the depths of the ancient city suddenly shone with dazzling light, and countless mysterious characters flashed across its surface. Profound melodies of the great Tao floated out of the archive, explaining the mysteries of the great Tao. In the Jade Archive, the 3,000 talismans of the Great Path vibrated in unison. Regardless of whether they were complete or incomplete, they all emitted their own light. Within the talismans, pages of mysterious cultivation methods flowed rapidly. They appeared in the heavenly melodies. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The 3,000 talismans of the Great Tao vibrated, separating themselves from the ultimate Emperor Jade Archive, and flying out into the air. They followed the connection between the stairway to heaven and the demon court, branding themselves onto the stairway to heaven. There seemed to be a mysterious connection between the stairway to heaven and the ultimate Emperor Jade Archive. A portion of the 3,000 types of connate vital energy extracted from the ultimate Emperor Jade Archive was also separated and poured into the stairway to heaven. Layers of snow-white clouds suddenly emerged from the stairway to heaven outside, shrouding the entire stairway in a layer of clouds. It was faintly discernible, making it seem strangely mysterious. The aura it exuded was extremely subtle, as if it didn't exist at all, but also as if it were an amalgamation of the 3,000 great Taos of the world. For a moment it seemed incomparably majestic. It naturally exuded a mysterious aura of the great Tao. Di Shirtian's actions attracted the attention of all the cultivators present. They looked at the stairway to heaven, then back at him, and the confusion in their eyes deepened. This is a supreme treasure that this emperor obtained by chance. After spending countless efforts, countless rare treasures, and the essence of heaven and earth, this emperor finally refined the stairway to heaven. Di Shirtian said in a deep voice, "The stairway to heaven is divided into 81 levels. There are 9 realms for the demon clan. Spirit beast, spirit monster, demon beast, demon king, great demon, demon saint, sky demon, and demon god. Every 9 levels of the stairway to heaven is a realm for the demon clan. As long as you step onto the stairway to heaven, no matter what your background is, even if you're just an ordinary bird or beast, as long as you have the potential and perseverance, you'll be a spirit beast. Once you reach the 9th level, you'll be a spirit beast. Once you reach the 10th level, you'll be a spirit monster. You'll be able to obtain inheritances on the stairway to heaven. There are countless inheritances, and what you can inherit depends on your opportunity, potential, and luck. You might inherit a supreme cultivation technique, or you might get the most ordinary yellow cultivation technique. Whichever level you step on, the stairway to heaven will naturally inject the comprehension of the heavens and earth that should belong to that level into your mind. Every step you take will bring you a new scenery, and with every step you take, your cultivation will also rise by a level. If you can reach the 81st level, you'll become a supreme demon god. Each sentence was like a giant hammer directly hitting the heads of all the cultivators and demons in the demon court. The meaning behind those words was so shocking that even their hearts were about to jump out of their chests. Inheritance, this stairway to heaven actually had such a miraculous power, and they could actually obtain such an incredible inheritance. If they could really walk on the stairway to heaven and earth, they would be able to obtain the same cultivation realm and even cultivation technique every time they reached the next level. That was simply a supreme treasure that could make countless races go crazy. This was an irreplaceable supreme treasure of inheritance. Countless demons were looking at the stairway to heaven with a fanatical light in their eyes. They couldn't wait to swallow it in one bite. Your Majesty, Demon Emperor, Your Majesty is really wholeheartedly planning for our demon clan. You actually spent so much effort to refine such a supreme treasure. To us, you're simply giving us a new lease on life. If we can really inherit it, then the rise of our demon clan is just around the corner. With the stairway to heaven, we can obtain a large number of powerhouses in a day. An irreplaceable supreme treasure of inheritance. Countless demons were so excited that even when they spoke, there was a slight tremor in their voices. They deeply understood the boundless benefits and endless powerhouses that the stairway to heaven could bring to the demon clan. This stairway to heaven could save the demon clan a lot of time for cultivation. Impossible, if the demon clan obtained such a supreme treasure of inheritance, wouldn't their strength increase by leaps and bounds? It's immeasurable. Something big is going to happen. With the stairway to heaven, the demon clan will soar into the sky. Those little demons from before can transform into demon kings, great demons, and even demon saints. However, in the eyes of all the cultivators, endless waves of shock surged. It was a good thing for the demon clan, but for some people, it was definitely a terrible thing. All of them were looking at the stairway to heaven with complicated expressions. Just because you say so? Is this stairway to heaven really as miraculous as you say? The red blood demon said playfully with a doubtful expression. If you doubt it, just let a demon try it. Tion just looked at him calmly. There was no trace of emotion in his eyes, as if he was looking at a corpse. Your Majesty, Old Pig's family just gave birth to a son, and now he only has the cultivation of a spirit beast. Old Pig believes in Your Majesty and is willing to let my son try the stairway to heaven. A fat man with a big head and big ears ran out, holding a red piglet in his hand. Because of its parents, the piglet was already a spirit beast when it was born, and it seemed to be more of a fire element. His two eyes constantly scanned the surroundings. The fat man looked at Tion with excitement and fanaticism. Approved. Tion glanced at it and nodded in agreement. The red piglet let out a snort and jumped down from the fat man's hand. It came to the stairway to heaven and jumped up. Whoosh! As soon as he stepped onto the first step, he immediately saw a faint halo suddenly appear on the first step of the celestial stairway. Small, colorful runes of different colors emerged out of thin air from the celestial stairway. Among these runes, some of the crimson-red runes paused in midair for a moment before surging toward the little red boar. When they landed on its body, they immediately drilled into its pores. The surrounding chi of heaven and earth seemed to be attracted by something and continuously poured into its body. In the blink of an eye, the red piglet's power and cultivation increased at an alarming rate. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidien. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1008. Every rune contained extremely pure fire elemental energy. Moreover, when the runes entered the little red pig's body, it seemed to have received some kind of inheritance. The fire elemental energy that entered its body automatically followed the path of the cultivation technique and quickly circulated in its body. It rushed through the meridians in its body. As for the little red pig, its eyes were lifeless, as if it had fallen into some kind of strange illusion. When the runes entered its body, its originally small body was constantly changing its physical body. Its body size was constantly growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. As long as one stepped on every step of the celestial stairway, they would automatically enter a kind of strange illusion. It was just like Chertion in the Four Corners Divine Palace back then. They would undergo the test of the illusion and be tempered. Only in this way could one's cultivation level be raised and one's willpower be tempered. It was truly perfect, and it would lay down a solid foundation. It would allow one's cultivation level to be raised together. This was the most magical ability of the celestial stairway: one step, one scene. Once one was unable to pass the test of the illusion and withstand the tempering of the illusion, the celestial stairway would automatically send them off the celestial stairway. The inheritance would be terminated. It could be said to be foolproof. The little red pig paused for a while on the first step of the celestial stairway. When the surrounding red runes no longer entered its body, its originally collapsed eyes regained their clarity. Even its eyes were more lively and full of spirituality, as if it had suddenly opened its spiritual cavities and gained wisdom. It jumped up to the second step. On the second step, more runes appeared and entered its body. This time, the runes were even more complicated and mysterious. Faintly, there was a heavenly sound that slowly reverberated on the celestial stairway. One step after another. Not long after, it accepted the inheritance. In the blink of an eye, the little red pig had passed more than 10 steps of the celestial stairway and entered the 19th step. However, not long after it entered, it was directly sent down the celestial stairway, and the inheritance was terminated. However, its cultivation level had directly risen from a small spiritual beast to the realm of a demonic beast in the blink of an eye. This made the crowd's eyes almost pop out of their sockets. This was the process of witnessing the transformation of a newly born little spiritual beast into a demonic beast. If it had been in Chertion, this process would have taken hundreds of years. In the demon city, it would have taken several years. But on the sky ladder, it only took less than a day. It was truly inconceivable and miraculous. As expected, it really is an inherited treasure. It was unbelievable that a spirit beast could transform into a demonic beast. Moreover, its foundation was abnormally stable. This ladder to the heavens can really reach the heavens. With this supreme treasure, the rise of the demon race will be even more unstoppable. All of them were silent as they stared at the stairs to the heavens. No one knew what they were thinking. Shifter Emperor, please ascend to the throne. Only His Majesty is qualified to be called the Demon Emperor. Other than His Majesty, even if a demon god were to come, we would not acknowledge him. Your Majesty, please ascend to the throne and proclaim yourself as the Demon Emperor. If that red blood demon wants to be the Fiend Emperor, we will never admit it. Get out of here. Seeing the miraculous effect of the sky ladder, all of the demon race's eyes were filled with fanaticism. It was as if they were about to set the entire void on fire. They all shouted from the bottom of their hearts. Voices urging Chertion to proclaim himself as the emperor echoed in the ancient city. Their voices almost resounded through the sky. Rumble! At this moment, a violent roar suddenly came from the heavenly prison of the demon court. A crimson shadow flew out from the heavenly prison like lightning. In an instant, it appeared beside the red blood demon and entered his body. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared. Report! Your Majesty, a thief broke into the heavenly prison and killed all the prisoners in the heavenly prison. Not even their corpses were left. In an instant, a hurried shout rang out from the distance. A supervisor demon guard quickly flew over with a trace of anxiety on his face. You dare to break into the heavenly prison? Who are you? De Chertien's eyes shot out a threatening light. He directly glared at the red blood demon. Everywhere he looked, the void seemed to be crushed and distorted. It turned out that the red blood demon did not come here to compete for the demon emperor position. He came here to attract all the attention. In fact, he secretly sneaked into the heavenly prison to break into the heavenly prison. There's no one in the heavenly prison. Where are you keeping the blood demon emperor? The red blood demon's eyes turned blood-red in the blink of an eye. His gaze was unusually sharp, and his expression became solemn. You want to save the blood demon emperor? You are not a member of the demon race. You should be killed. When De Chertien heard this, a surge of killing intent surged in his heart. He shouted, Demon court, imprison the void. Heaven and earth great Tao, suppress. After knowing that the person in front of him was not a real demon race, he did not hesitate. Immediately, the entire demon court erupted with boundless power. The entire void seemed to be imprisoned and completely sealed, making it difficult to move. Boundless pressure came from all directions and crazily crushed the blood demon venerable. Crash! In the void, chains of laws condensed out of thin air. They were like spiritual snakes. One after another, they whizzed towards the red blood demon to bind him. The power of the supreme divine weapon was completely mobilized. In the demon court, even a peerless expert would be suppressed. Anyone who went against the supreme divine weapon would have to contend against the power of the entire supreme divine weapon. Chaos demonic orb. When the blood demon venerable saw the terrifying power crushing towards him from all directions, he seemed to have been prepared. He sneered, and a strange demonic orb appeared above his head. The demonic orb was filled with a strange chaotic will. As soon as the demonic orb appeared, it exploded. Waves of chaotic power spread in all directions. It completely enveloped him. Rumble! Wherever the chaotic willpower went, the frozen space suddenly became chaotic. The chains of laws that were surging towards the broken blood demon venerate were all twisted into a mess. Even the laws that filled the space of the Ling Shao demon court were twisted into a mess. Not good. This is the chaos demonic orb. It is specially used to deal with supreme divine weapons. The 3,000 great Tao in the demon court is not complete. There are too many loopholes in the laws of heaven and earth. It will be affected by the chaotic will and become chaotic. It will not be able to imprison him. Ming was very knowledgeable. You are courting death. De Chertien ignored him. He quickly formed seals with his hands. Suddenly, endless power gathered in his hands. The ultimate Emperor's seal, a celestial demon's seal, a Taotai seal, a Emperor's seal, blissful seal. 4 ancient seals instantly formed in midair. Like real ancient seals, they were solid and did not look illusory at all. As soon as the 4 ancient seals appeared, they emitted a monstrous force that suppressed the void and directly smashed towards the red blood demon. Every ancient seal seemed to be able to crush an entire world into dust with a single seal. Under the 4 ancient seals, monstrous pressure crushed down. Blood drinker sword, blood massacre of 1,000,000 soldiers. The red blood demon sneered. Unknowingly, his right hand was already holding the blood drinker sword on his back. With a twist of his wrist, the blood drinker sword was unsheathed. There was a long blood groove on the slender blood-colored sword. On the sword, there seemed to be countless ferocious blood-colored beasts with ferocious eyes. As soon as the sword turned around, streaks of blood-red sword light appeared around him, forming layers upon layers of blood-red sword wheels. It was as if the crimson blood demon had turned into a horrifying hedgehog with countless streaks of sword light sticking out of its body in an instant. The cold light that shot out from the tip of the sword almost pierced the void. Ding ding ding! Streaks of sword light, like countless blood-colored dragons, revealed their ferocious faces and pierced the 4 ancient seals. With De Chertien's current strength, the ancient seal's power had reached an incredible level. The streaks of sword light were annihilated inch by the ancient seals. But the terrifying thing was that these streaks of sword light came one after another, from different angles, but they struck the same spot on each ancient seal. Time after time, the one in front was crushed, and immediately thousands of streaks of sword light came charging in. It was like a terrifying torrent. It really had a terrifying will to slaughter millions of soldiers. Gotcha! The edge of the blood drinker's sword was limitless, and each stroke was accompanied by a terrifying sword cry that thirsted for blood. Thousands of attacks simultaneously struck the same spot, and in the blink of an eye, one could clearly see that the four ancient seals had formed countless sinister and terrifying cracks in front of the torrent that the blood drinker's sword had drawn out. These cracks spread, and all of a sudden, the ancient seals were fragmented. Roar! The moment the four ancient seals collapsed, a streak of golden saber light suddenly broke through the air and appeared in front of him. In the saber light, there was a divine tiger roaring at the sky on the golden saber of the tiger's soul. Clang, clang, clang. The tiger's soul, with boundless dominance and an indomitable aura, slashed down. Wherever it passed, streaks of sword light were cut into two by the tiger's soul. With boundless dominance, the tiger's soul broke through the terrifying sword wheel that surrounded the red blood demon. Mere sword shadows could not block the sharpness of the tiger's soul in the slightest. With a monstrous power, the saber turned, and with a sharp saber light, the countless sword shadows were crushed. At the same time, the tiger's soul turned from a slash to a horizontal slash and slashed toward the demon Venerate's neck. Clang! However, the demon Venerate's combat skills were unbelievably exquisite. The blood drinker sword instantly blocked the tiger's soul in front of him. The saber body of the tiger's soul was only a foot away from the demon Venerate's neck. A sword will that was as soft as water was emitted from the sword body, causing the domineering saber power contained in the tiger's soul to dissipate in all directions. 4 ounces to 1,000 kilograms. The blood drinker sword went with the flow and turned around without hesitation. Sticking close to the tiger's soul, it slashed toward Deschertien's right hand that was holding the tiger's soul. This strike was incomparably ferocious and wanted to cut off his entire hand. Roar! In the tiger's soul, the divine tiger let out a tiger roar. The sound waves of the tiger roar transformed into waves of vibrational force, causing the saber to vibrate violently. It vibrated hundreds of millions of times per second, and the surrounding void was shaken into fine powder. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1009. Ding, 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 ding. The violent vibrations from the tiger's soul were abnormally rapid and intense. The blood drinker sword, which was right next to the tiger's soul, bore the brunt of the vibrations. Wave after wave of vibrations crazily surged toward the blood drinker sword, like a tidal wave. Each wave carried a powerful force. Hundreds of millions of waves of vibrations caused the void around the blood drinker sword to distort to a terrifying degree. Under these vibrations, the blood drinker sword was like soft water, allowing the void to distort. Even the sword body followed the void's distortions and turned into a soft hemp rope, distorting beyond recognition. At an incredible speed, it deflected waves of terrifying sound waves in all directions. The tip of the sword was like a spirit snake coming out of its hole, piercing toward Deschertien's wrist in an extremely tricky manner. The blade was thick and heavy, and its momentum was as domineering as a mountain. It had always been mainly used for slashing. The sword body was slender, and compared to the blade, it was a little fragile. Although the sword had 2 edges, it was mainly used for stabbing. In almost all sword techniques, the stabbing move often contained a rather terrifying sharpness. It was extraordinarily swift and fierce, enough to pierce through heaven and earth. Clang! Tion saw this and did not evade. Rings of indestructible divine halos revolved around his arm. With a twist of his wrist, the tiger's soul turned, and the blade slashed diagonally toward the red blood demon's heart. In midair, it drew a beautiful arc of light, as if both sides were injured, an injury for an injury, a life for a life. This change of move was almost as fast as lightning, and there was no time to dodge at all. The situation instantly became extremely dangerous. The blood drinker sword stabbed toward Tion's wrist, but was immediately blocked by the divine halos. The sword burst forth with a dazzling sharpness, carrying an astonishing killing power, and directly pierced through the divine halos. They were shattered with a boom. The sword pierced through 7 divine halos. It was blocked just now. Puff! The tiger's soul carried the aura of an emperor, completely displaying the sharpness of the battle blade. It contained a monstrous power, and directly slashed down diagonally from the shoulder, cutting the red blood demon into 2. Crack! The dazzling saber light drew a shocking saber mark in the void. Hiss! What a terrifying combat strength! Using strength to prove one's Tao. This is the heaven-defying combat strength of using strength to prove one's Tao. Every movement, every move, every style, I feel that I have no ability to dodge at all. For an ancient giant like me, the demon emperor can really poke me to death with a single finger. This red blood demon is also a freak. He can actually fight with the demon emperor. From the looks of it, he should also be a demon god. His combat strength is terrifying, but he was actually split in half by the demon emperor. How could he not die? He jumped out to cause trouble when the demon emperor was about to ascend to the throne, blocking his path to wealth. It's no different from killing one's parent. He seemed to be trying to sneak into the prison to rescue the criminals inside. Could it be that he's here to rescue them? The all-heavens cultivators, as well as the countless demon race cultivators in the ancient city, were all suppressed by the majestic pressure radiating from the void, rendering them unable to move. The difference of a single step was like the difference between heaven and earth. In a battle between matchless experts, it was almost impossible for anyone who had not reached this level to interfere. TSK. The demon emperor is indeed the demon emperor. When the tiger soul split the red blood demon into 2, Tion did not look happy at all. Instead, a fierce look appeared in his eyes. The tiger soul could devour flesh and blood. Even if it cut open a wound, it would devour a trace of blood essence. However, it did not absorb any blood essence from the red blood demon's body. The red blood demon was definitely not an ordinary person. Sure enough, a burst of sinister laughter came from the void. The 2 halves of the red blood demon's body instantly turned into 2 streaks of blood-red light. As if they had a will of their own, they quickly gathered in the void and collided, fusing into one. The blood-red light rippled, and a slender figure appeared in the void. He was dressed in blood-red robes, and his face was incomparably handsome. There was always a faint, sinister smile at the corner of his mouth. There was a blood-red vertical line between his eyebrows that looked like a closed vertical eye, adding to his demonic aura. His blood-red hair casually draped over his shoulders, and every strand of hair seemed to have souls groaning in pain. The blood-red hair fluttered in the wind like a blood-red river rippling. Countless souls in pain floated in the river, revealing sinister faces as if they were choosing a person to devour. Looking at it, one could not help but shudder. Shweini. Tion's pupils contracted violently. He immediately recognized that the person in front of him was the legendary blood god Shweini. He was already one of the top experts in the demon god continent. His divine eyes swept over him. Shweini had already recovered to the level of an unparalleled demon emperor, but he had just recovered to the early stage. Good. Blood god Shweini, there was a path for you to take in the heavenly realm, but you barged into the demon court without a door. Since you've come in, then stay here forever. I want to use your blood to witness I step onto the Emperor's path. Dishur Tian's heart turned cold. No matter who he was, the fact that he tried to stop Dishur Tian meant that Xue Yin's fate was sealed. He had no chance of leaving Ling Shao Demon Court alive. Not only did he have to kill, he had to do it cleanly. He had to show off his might by killing. He had to use his flesh and blood to achieve the supreme prestige of the Demon Emperor. Clang! Tiger's soul shook, and the crisp sound of the saber filled the entire demon court. The saber turned, and from top to bottom, the saber drew a mysterious trajectory in the void, and slashed towards Xue Yin. From the void, a pure power of desire surged into Tiger's soul like a tide. The power of desire brought with it a terrifying intent. Wherever it went, countless living beings would feel waves of desire in their minds. It felt as if countless terrifying things were about to happen. Desire grew. It swept through the world. It was unstoppable. The boundless power of fear and desire gathered crazily into the tiger's soul. In an instant, the space under the blade trembled violently. The tiger's soul saber body had strangely disappeared at some point in time. Instead, a pitch-black door of the ancient realm appeared in the void. Inside the door of the ancient realm, countless terrifying scenes appeared. Scenes of countless living beings dying of old age, illness, murder, drowning, burning to death, etc. All sorts of scenes of death constantly flashed within the ancient realm. It made people feel as if they were there. Everyone who saw it, including the ancient powerhouses, felt a deep sense of fear. This was because not only did ancient powerhouses die in large numbers in the ancient door, but there were also peerless experts who died. There seemed to be a mountain of corpses piled up with white bones. At the foot of the mountain of corpses, one of the corpses had a face. It was him. Anyone who saw it would feel a terrifying chill from the soles of their feet to their hearts. Even their hair would stand on end. There was an indescribable fear. That fear shrouded one's mind. On the ancient door, there were 3 ancient seals. Door of life and death. There was great fear in between life and death. Extreme Monarch Emperor Dao, fear of life and death. This was what Dishur Tian experienced when he was tested by the 4 heavenly gates in the 4 cardinal divine palace. He fell into a terrifying illusion that was close to despair. He wandered on the edge of life and death every moment and deeply experienced the great fear that existed between life and death. It was a new battle skill that was created by combining the desire of fear among the 7 emotions and 6 desires. What battle skill is this? Xue Yin's face revealed a touch of imperceptible fear. In the door of life and death, he had personally witnessed the process of his fall. The process could be said to be incomparably real. Even he felt that his will was shaking, and a trace of fear uncontrollably emerged in his mind. Rumble! The door of life and death, carrying the power of life and death, directly charged toward Xue Yin from the void. There was almost no place to hide from the ancient door. This door contained life and death. Between heaven and earth, there was either life or death. If you are alive, you can't hide from the ancient door. If you are dead, you can't resist the call of the ancient door. There was almost no place to hide, no way to avoid. Humph! In heaven and earth, no one can take the life of the blood god. Back in ancient times, you couldn't completely destroy me, and now it's even more impossible. How can mere life and death restrain me? Xue Yin's eyebrows flashed with a trace of unswerving determination. The blood drinker sword drew countless mysterious trajectories in front of him. Blood drinker sword, falling sword of the 9 heavens. The 9 blood swords were divided into 9 positions, condensing into a killing sword formation. They were connected to each other, cutting through the vacuum, and strangling toward the door of life and death. Under the sword, even the stars could be cut down. The blood-colored sword light directly burst out tens of thousands of feet. In an instant, the door of life and death was covered by the sword light. Rumble! Under the blood sword, even the void was trembling violently. However, when the blood sword collided with the gate of life and death, it was as if the gate of ancient didn't exist at all. It wasn't damaged at all and directly passed through the blood sword. In an instant, it arrived in front of Shwe Ini and strangely enveloped him. Countless terrifying illusions of life and death madly surged into his mind. And behind the door of life and death, a perfect arc of light flashed, and the tiger soul, accompanied by the monstrous will of life and death, suddenly appeared on the ancient door and slashed toward Shwe Ini like lightning. Not good, Lord Blood God is at a disadvantage. This can't go on. This time, we must not fail to rescue the Demon Emperor. The group of ancient peerless experts of the origin world is most likely about to return. If we don't rescue them now, we won't have another chance in the future. There was a skinny little demon kneeling in the middle of the group of demons. His eyes glowed with a blood-red light. His eyes spun rapidly. Every time he spun, a plan flashed through his mind. His eyes suddenly looked at the demon Empress Qin Shi, demon concubine by Hu, and Katomi, who were standing below the demon ceiling altar. A cold and ruthless flashed across his face, and the corners of his mouth pulled into a sinister smile. His body flashed without warning, and he fiercely pounced in the direction of Qin Shi. Chapter 1010. It's a new week. Here's a ticket. The little demon leaped into the air from the group of demons and quickly pounced on Qin Shi. Along the way, his body underwent a shocking change in an instant. His body suddenly exploded into countless pieces and shot out in all directions. Under the cover of the demon's body, there was actually another figure hidden. 3 pairs of huge blood-colored bat wings whistled and covered a large area of the void. This was the blood-winged demon god clan of the demon god continent, a demon god clan that once belonged to the blood god. The 3 pairs of blood-colored bat wings on the blood-winged demon god clan's back flapped violently and immediately burst forth with astonishing speed, pouncing towards Qin Shi. His face was covered with blood-red demonic tattoos. They were densely packed and intertwined together, making him look exceptionally ferocious. A pair of blood-red gloves appeared on his hands, and he put them on. His hands instantly transformed into a pair of blood-red claws that looked like blood jade. He waved the claws forward, and under the claws, terrifying cracks were torn in the void. A monstrous pressure was emitted from his body, and a will rolled out in all directions. This was actually a sky demon-level expert. Oh no! Quickly protect the demon empress and the 2 demon concubines. This sky demon wants to assassinate the demon empress. Quick, protect the empress. The unforeseen event happened too suddenly. Almost all the cultivators, including the demons in the demon court, were focused on the battle between Di Shirtian and Shwe Ini in the void. They did not increase their vigilance towards the outside world. They did not expect that there would be such a terrifying assassin hidden among the demons. For a moment, Meng Shi and the others were stunned. They all shouted loudly and rushed towards the sky demon without thinking, wanting to stop him. However, this sky demon's speed was almost unimaginable, and it happened too suddenly. Moreover, Qin Shi and the others had special identities. Although Meng Shi, Shui Yan, and the others were secretly protecting them, they could not get too close. When this unforeseen event happened, there was no time for them to block in front of them. This gave the sky demon an opportunity to take advantage of. Qin Shi put most of his attention on the fierce battle in the void. His reaction could not help but be a little slower. Seeing the heavenly demon pouncing toward him, he almost instantly guessed the heavenly demon's objective. This heavenly demon wants to kill me, but not to kill me. Instead, he wants to capture me and use me to threaten my husband. Putting aside the fact that he will let them go, he also wants to threaten my husband into releasing the demon emperor who is being suppressed. Qin Shi was extremely intelligent. Although he had been sitting in the jade pool all this time and did not reveal himself, his intelligence was not inferior to any of the other wise men. Moreover, he was able to keep the jade pool in order. In the overall situation, he stood at a rather high point. One's bottom determined one's head. This was the principle. I must not let him succeed. A thought suddenly appeared in his mind. Your Highness, be careful! Others could not stop it in time, but Qing Xia, who had always been by Chen Shi's side, reacted instantly. Without thinking, she pulled out the Cyan Luan sword on her back. The Cyan Luan sword turned into a huge cyan lotus and bombarded the sky demon. The Cyan Luan sword spun and spat out countless cyan lotus sword chi, condensing into countless strange cyan lotus petals. They whistled through the void and swept towards the sky demon. A mere Cyan Luan. Do you think you can stop me? The sky demon's face revealed a ferocious expression. Looking at the cyan lotus in front of him, the wings on his back suddenly flapped forward. Instantly, countless waves of blood whizzed out from the wings, turning into millions of blood-colored bats. They swept towards the cyan lotus petals and tore them into countless pieces. Crack! A ferocious blood claw with a supreme will that could tear through the void slammed into the green lotus. Immediately, the monstrous power of the demon god gushed out from the blood claw. The sharp claw grabbed the green lotus, and with a soft sound, the entire green lotus was torn apart on the spot. It turned into countless pieces and completely collapsed in an instant. The sharp claw did not stop. With a momentum that could tear through the void, it grabbed towards Chen Shi's neck. Bang! Puff! However, just as the blood claw was about to touch Chen Shi, a cyan figure blocked the blood claw with lightning speed. The blood claw landed directly on the figure's back. With a crisp sound, the battle armor on the figure's body was torn open and a hole was pierced through. The terrifying power was all on the figure's body. The figure was sent flying forward on the spot. A mouthful of blood sprayed out in midair. You're courting death! The sky demon spat out a cold shout, and his gaze became even more fierce. Qing Xia! Chen Shi's expression changed as he called out. He reached out and hugged Qing Xia's body. Looking at her pale face, boundless anger burst out on his face. Since Qing Xia entered the jade pool, she had been responsible for its safety. She was loyal and devoted to him, and he had long regarded her as his closest relative. At this moment, seeing Qing Xia being seriously injured by the sky demon who had appeared out of nowhere, the anger in his heart erupted like a tidal wave. You deserve to die! Chen Shi's eyes, which had always been as calm as water, suddenly burst out with endless sharpness and an oppressive aura. She had been the demon empress for a long time, and her body naturally had an invisible majesty. When she released it at this moment, it was as if heaven and earth were angry. Traces of anger appeared on her face, and with a flash of light in her hand, a colorful flower basket appeared. This flower basket was filled with all kinds of strange flowers. The power and aura contained in each flower was completely different, and each flower had its own unique and miraculous ability. There were thousands of flowers in the flower basket, which was an extremely large number. Chen Shi held the flower basket and reached out to take it. In the blink of an eye, a colorful flower appeared in his hand. The flower seemed to be constantly changing colors. It was illusory. An instant is eternity. Eternity is an instant of youth. Chen Shi did not hesitate at all. He directly threw the colorful flower in his hand at the sky demon. The flower seemed real and illusory at the same time. It was very magical. What a joke! You want to hurt me with a flower? Demon Empress, you should obediently allow yourself to be captured. How fierce was the sky demon! After its first attack was blocked by Qing Xia's body, it immediately clawed at Chen Shi again. This claw gave people the feeling that there was nowhere to hide and nowhere to run. The other claw directly grabbed at the colorful flower. However, when the sharp claws collided with the flower, a strange situation occurred. It was as if the flower didn't exist at all. It directly pierced through his bloody claws. It instantly imprinted itself on his chest. The colorful flowers strangely drilled into his body like flowing water. Immediately, a seven-colored mist shrouded his entire demonic body. No, what's going on? Why did my strength suddenly increase so much? No, why do I feel like my life essence is rapidly depleting? My lifespan? Impossible. I've already become a heavenly demon. As long as I don't die, my lifespan will be limitless. How can there be a limit to my lifespan? 100,000 years of lifespan? Impossible. How can my lifespan be so short? Not good. Why is my lifespan depleting so quickly? This is 1,000 times, no, 10,000 times faster than normal. My power, my demonic body, what is going on here? What is going on here? Why is this happening? The sky demon's expression suddenly changed, and he let out a cry of disbelief. His expression was full of horror and fear, as if something inconceivable and terrible was happening to him. From outside it could be seen clearly. The power and aura emitted by the sky demon rose to an unbelievable level in an instant, reaching a peak. It was as if he could step into the ranks of the unparalleled demon emperors in an instant. However, not only did he not feel happy about the increase in power, he only felt a strong sense of fear. After a moment, when he reached the peak, the power on his body immediately dissipated at an astonishing speed. At the same time, his appearance changed at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, he changed from a young man to a white-haired old man. Countless wrinkles appeared on his face. Life essence was constantly released from his body. It dissipated into the air. In the blink of an eye, he became abnormally old. Crash! In less than a few breaths, the sky demon died of old age. The immortal demon body on his body seemed to have gone through hundreds of millions of years and countless eras. His flesh, blood, and bones turned into powder and drifted into the surrounding void. In the blink of an eye, he had completely turned into powder. Witnessing this scene, the surrounding experts of the demon race, who were about to come to the rescue, unconsciously stopped in their tracks. They looked at the sky demon, who was blown into powder by the wind, with horrified gazes. A sky demon was actually turned into powder by Chen Shi with a wave of his hand. Heaven-defying ability, fleeting youth. The demon empress actually has such terrifying combat strength. She actually turned a sky demon into powder with a wave of her hand. My goodness, is that the legendary heaven-defying ability, fleeting youth? The demon empress has always been inconspicuous, but I didn't expect her to be so terrifying when she is really angry. As expected, a person who can sit on the throne of the demon empress is definitely not an ordinary person. That heavenly demon must have been blind. He wanted to take the hostages, but he didn't expect that he would hit an iron plate and die on the spot. My goodness, even his divine soul dissipated. There's no possibility of him being reborn. Waves of shock surged in the hearts of the all-heavens cultivators. No one expected that Chen Shi, who was usually noble but had always been hiding in the jade pool, would have such monstrous strength. Xueyi, how dare you do such a despicable thing? I want your life. Di Shirtyen's brows trembled violently, and his face was filled with boundless rage. A monstrous killing intent burst forth from his body. Step by step, he strode toward Xueyi with the posture of an emperor. Tiger Soul instantly slashed at Xueyi. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 10-11. Extreme Emperor Wei, Fear of Life and Death. Between life and death, there was a great terror. The longer one lived, the longer one's lifespan would be, and the stronger one's strength would be. Under the strong appearance, the fear of death in one's heart would grow with each passing day. Although, even if one died, as long as one's true spirit was not destroyed, there would be a chance for reincarnation. But in reincarnation, the power of reincarnation would seal one's memory, and even wash away one's memory with Granny Meng's soup. After reincarnation, one might not be their original self. No one wanted to fall from the peak and fall back into the mortal world. The fear of life and death was unavoidable even for peerless experts. Unless one was truly a peerless figure, the fear in one's heart would always exist. This move had infinitely magnified the terror of wandering between life and death. Shrouded in the door of life and death, countless terrifying scenes of life and death appeared in Xue Yini's mind. Every scene was a replacement for himself. The inexplicable emptiness and loneliness before death filled his mind with countless emotions of fear. His mind was in a trance. Clang! And at this time Di Shitian, with a supreme posture of a sovereign overlooking the world and boundless anger towards Chen Shi's attack, poured a vast amount of power and the true power of the Emperor into the tiger's soul blade like a tide. Roar! In the tiger's soul, a golden divine tiger roared wildly, emitting a fierce, murderous aura. The tiger's soul blade broke into the door of life and death. As if the door of life and death did not exist, it did not obstruct the tiger's soul in the slightest. Roar! In a split second, Xue Yini's blood drinker's sword blocked above his head at an inconceivable speed, colliding with the tiger's soul. A terrifying roar sounded, as if the door of life and death was about to be crushed by this destructive force. You want to capture Xi'er and use her to threaten you should be honored. You have completely enraged me. Let me tell you, you're dead, you're finished. Even if the demon Ancestor descends, he won't be able to save your life. Heavenly punishment world, pour all the power into my body, break for I. Di Shitian's black hair danced wildly behind his head. It exuded an incomparably domineering and arrogant aura. Although he was not handsome, his features were chiseled, and his face was filled with boundless dignity. He exuded a cold aura. He killed decisively. Within his body, his inner world, which had already matured to a certain level, instantly exerted all the power in the world on his body and poured it into the tiger's soul. Di Shitian's aura rose to an inconceivable level in the blink of an eye. The resplendent saber gleam that burst forth from the tiger's soul became even more condensed. His strength instantly increased by several times. Crack! Xue Yini himself was in a life-and-death situation, which affected his state of mind. He hastily waved the blood drinker sword to block the attack and was already in a slightly weakened state. At this moment, the mighty power that suddenly erupted from the tiger's soul poured down, causing the blood drinker's sword to emit a clear and crisp sound. At the position where the sword and the tiger's soul collided, a sinister crack appeared without warning. In the span of a few breaths, this crack rapidly spread across the entire sword at an astonishing speed. Like a spider web, it densely covered the entire blood drinker sword. Unsurprisingly, the blood drinker sword shattered into thousands of fragments and splashed in all directions. The tiger's soul took advantage of the opportunity to strike. It drew a perfect arc of light in the void. Crack! There was almost no suspense. Under the tiger's soul, Xue Yini was cleaved into two halves on the spot. Wherever the tiger's soul passed, streams of essence and blood were constantly devoured. Whoosh! Xue Yini was an unparalleled demon emperor after all. Even if he was cleaved into two halves and suffered great damage in an instant, his demonic body, which had been cleaved into two halves, suddenly transformed into two blood shadows at an incredible speed. These two blood shadows were like illusory shadows that shuttled through the void without hindrance. They turned around and pounced on the countless cultivators and demons in the demon court. One of the All-Heavens cultivators only saw a blood shadow flash before his eyes and pierced through his body. He only had time to let out a shrill scream before his body completely withered and decayed. The blood and flesh in his body were instantly devoured, and even his spirit turned into a blood-colored strand of hair that merged into the blood shadow. In the demon court, Any enemy will be mercilessly attacked and killed. The space will turn into a cage that imprisons all enemies. The seal will turn into iron chains, and the sound waves will annihilate everything. Di-Shirtian, who was holding the tiger soul in his hand, saw that the blood shadows were still going on a rampage in the ancient city. His face was filled with anger and coldness, and he did not hesitate to berate them. Rumble! As soon as he finished speaking, streaks of silver-white divine splendor flickered in the void and instantly condensed into silver iron rods that gathered together to form a cage. They instantly appeared in front of the two blood shadows and bound them in a cage. The snow-white iron chains were like a spider web, covering the entire cage tightly. Clang, clang, clang. Ding dong. Countless mysterious musical notes appeared from the void. These musical notes rushed into the cage and gathered together to form many mystical musical instruments. There were zither, flutes, guzheng, pipa, war drums, ancient bells, eru, and so on. All kinds of musical instruments appeared in an instant. As soon as these musical instruments appeared, they emitted crisp sounds that transformed into countless dense sound blades. Each of the sound blades contained boundless sharpness as they swept toward the Shwe-Ini that the two blood shadows had reformed. Sound waves filled every inch of space in the cage. The space inside the cage was distorted in an inconceivable way. Every inch of space was vibrating at a frequency of billions of times per second. The sound of bells, zither, and pipa filled the cage. These sound attacks were infused with the power of the entire demon court. Not good! The sound wave attack was almost unstoppable. Shwe-Ini, who had just recovered, had a look of horror on his face. His entire body was swept into the countless sound waves. On the spot, countless sound waves vibrated crazily. The mighty power that was produced was almost irresistible. This was the power of the demon court. His body was shattered inch by inch. However, he was very tenacious. Even if he was shattered, he still condensed into blood-red crystals of flesh and blood that resisted the sound wave attack. All the ice power in the world, listen to my command. Freeze the flesh and blood. Freeze everything. The power of the seal has been completely suppressed. Waves of snow-white ice power flashed out of the void and swept toward the cage. Even if only a trace of the ice power leaked out, it caused countless terrifying ice crystals to appear in the void and spread in all directions. What a terrifying ice power! I feel like my flesh and blood is about to be frozen on the spot. Even the circulation of dermic power has become difficult. This ice power is simply terrifying. Even a trace of it can freeze thousands of miles and turn it into an ice domain in an instant. Among the all-heavens cultivators, some of the eternal giants began to change their expressions. Sensing the terrifying power of the ice energy in the void, the ancient giants would be frozen on the spot if they went over. There wouldn't be the slightest bit of accident. Crash! Shwe-Ini was severely injured in one move in the gates of life and death and immediately fell into a disadvantageous position. Now, under Di-Shirtian's edicts, the void was imprisoned. Even his blood-red shadow couldn't break the imprisonment. This imprisonment was personally cast by the four cardinal gates. Under the gates of life and death, there was no chance of escape. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, the power of ice swept over. Immediately, the 129,600 drops of blood essence were frozen on the spot, turning into a huge block of profound ice. The profound ice was so hard that even divine weapons could not break it in the slightest. Crack! The moment those essence blood crystals were sealed in ice, there seemed to be a soundless cracking sound coming from within them. The light emitted from the crystals seemed to dim a little. Will collapse. Di-Shirtian was surprised, but he immediately sneered. These drops of blood contain the great Tao of blood. Now is the time to use them to complete my great Tao of blood. Without hesitation, he waved his hand. Immediately, the frozen drops of blood essence sank into the demon court and appeared on the Imperial Jade Archive in the blink of an eye. The drops of blood essence were quickly refined by the chaotic divine flame. The will within them collapsed without any resistance. They were refined into the purest blood fragments on the spot and quickly merged with the Imperial Jade Archive. Among the fragments there was a peerless demonic technique, the Blood God Sutra. However, due to the collapse of the will within, more than half of this demonic technique was obviously incomplete. Crash! Shwe cultivated the Blood God Sutra. It could be said that he had obtained the most complete inheritance of the great Tao of blood. His understanding of the great Tao of blood had reached an unbelievable level. Even his flesh and blood contained endless essence of the great Tao of blood. As soon as it merged, the blood talisman in the Imperial Jade Archive, which had been repaired by 1/10, suddenly shot out countless rays of blood-red light. Within the talisman, a sea of blood was faintly brewing. It was being born, outlining countless mysterious blood patterns. The talisman grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. There was a faint sound of heavenly music in it. An incomplete Blood God Sutra was slowly being preached in the heavenly music of the great Tao. It contained endless profound principles. Drops of blood essence melted into the Imperial Jade Archive at an astonishing speed. Rumble! Not long after, the heavenly music of the great Tao appeared in the Imperial Jade Archive. All the drops of blood essence were refined. At the same time, the blood talisman in the Imperial Jade Archive was also completed. There was a vast sea of blood in it. The moment it was completed, the blood talisman also split into an illusory shadow and imprinted itself on the illusory lotus platform in the void. One of the lotus platforms instantly turned into a blood lotus and materialized. Heaven and earth were split open inside, evolving into a small world. That world was filled with a vast sea of blood. The blood in the Imperial Jade Archive continued to surge. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 10-12. Boom! On the demon court, streaks of blood-red Tao runes appeared out of thin air, quickly forming mysterious runes on every inch of the ancient city. In an instant, the ancient city seemed to be filled with an inexplicable vitality, as if the ancient city had an extra bloodline. There was blood flowing. As a result, the aura of the Lingshao demon court became even more concealed. The great Tao of blood has been completed? No, it's the aura of the blood god. Could it be that the blood god has also been killed by the demon emperor? In the absolute monarch realm Jade Archive, the eyebrows of the savage blood demon emperor, who was tightly wrapped in the blood lotus, twitched intensely. A strong sense of worry appeared in his heart. With this feeling, the savage blood demon emperor keenly sensed that the blood great Tao in the Jade Archive had already reached initial perfection. As for the erosion of the blood lotus, because of the completion of the great Tao of blood, it had become abnormally strong. It was 10 times, no, 100 times stronger than before. The savage blood demon emperor immediately knew about this change. An indescribable expression appeared on his pale face as he muttered to himself, "What a terrifying demonic emperor! And this sovereign artifact, it actually has 3,000 great Taos. Once the demonic emperor completes all the great Taos, it will be incredible. I'm afraid we won't be able to stop him." However, the blood god had always been intelligent and always acted after planning. He shouldn't die so easily. I still have a chance to escape. The demon emperor pondered for a while, then immediately continued to heal his injuries. He secretly resisted the boundless power emitted from the ultimate Emperor Jade Archive. Poof! The moment Di Shirtian completely froze Shwe essence blood, in a hidden valley tens of thousands of miles away from the demon court, a young man in blood-red clothes, who was sitting cross-legged in a pool of blood, suddenly trembled violently. He spat out a mouthful of blood without warning. Looking at his face, it was Xueini, who had fallen in the demon court. Using strength to prove one's Tao. What a domineering battle strength. The demon court is indeed terrifying. Its potential is terrifying, and it has the potential to reach the immortal realm. This demon emperor will definitely be a great enemy when I, emotion, take over the origin world in the future. Unfortunately, the demon emperor did not capture the demon empress. Otherwise, the demon emperor might have been able to rescue Lu Xianxue and deal a blow to the demon emperor's rising prestige in the demon race. Xueini's mouth was stained with blood, and his eyes flashed with a faint light. He muttered to himself, "A moment of youth? I didn't expect that the demon empress, who has never shown herself, would have such a terrifying technique. I miscalculated this time." Unfortunately, the Lingxiao demon court is very strange and I can't bring too many people in. Otherwise, I might have a chance today. But of my blood god's blood god. There was a hint of regret in his tone, as if he was in pain. Xueini was a smart guy. He knew clearly what kind of place the demon court was. It was a supreme divine artifact. With his strength that had not completely recovered, it would be a headache to face a supreme divine artifact. How could he rush in recklessly? He just used his essence blood to form a blood god doppelganger. This doppelganger had all his battle strength. Even its aura was no different. It was almost one with him. He used the doppelganger to hide in the demon court so that he could abandon the doppelganger when necessary. He didn't want to fail to save the demon emperor and get trapped. But the loss of the doppelganger was also a great loss to him. His strength was faintly showing signs of falling below the unparalleled demon emperor. The rise of the demon race is unstoppable. Xueini's eyes were deep as the image of the stairway to the heavens in the Lingxiao demon court appeared in his mind. He was well aware of the importance of the stairway to heaven. With the stairway to heaven, the younger generation of the demon race with potential would rise at an incredible speed. They would transform into experts in an extremely short period of time. With such an ultimate inheritance, no one in the world could stop the development of the demon race. In addition to Di Shirtian's battle strength and the cohesion of the demon race, the demon court would definitely occupy an important position in the world. Fortunately, the demon race has a deep hatred for the human race. Now that the human race is the main character of the world, even if the human race is in great trouble, the demon race will stand by and watch the human race fall coldly. Maybe the demon race will not participate in the war after the annihilation tide. The human race has turned against us. Good job. Xueini's eyes flashed with an evil light. He clicked his tongue and laughed strangely. Not long after, he closed his eyes and began to cultivate quietly. At this moment, in the Lingxiao demon court, after witnessing Di Shirtian kill the demon god that had infiltrated the Lingxiao demon court, countless cheers erupted from the mouths of the demons after a moment of silence. His Majesty's power is boundless. Even an unparalleled demon emperor can be killed. Anyone who dares to provoke him should be suppressed and beaten to death. Shifter Emperor, this is the Shifter Emperor that our Shifter race should have. Please ascend to the throne, Your Majesty. Other than Your Majesty, no one else will acknowledge you. When the Shifter race is in trouble, only Your Majesty will extend a helping hand to save us. His Majesty, please ascend the throne. His Majesty, please ascend the throne. The demon race looked at Di Shirtian and felt the Supreme Emperor's power exuding from him. They all shouted with fanatical emotions. A strong sense of expectation and desire spread through the air. Husband, I am fine. Please ascend the throne as soon as possible. She handed Qing Xia to Bai Susu. When he saw Di Shirtian looking at him, he knew what he meant. He felt warmth in his heart and hurriedly said in a low voice. Di Shirtian scanned the demon court. Seeing the countless expectant eyes, he took a deep breath and nodded. I have risen from humble beginnings. Today, I am indebted to the many brothers of the demon race. It would be impolite for I to refuse. Today, I ascend the throne. Once again, I promise that I will not regret it even if I die 10,000 times for the sake of the demon race. Ong 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 ong. As soon as he finished speaking, an invisible and vast fortune immediately descended on him like a tide. In an instant, it was as if he was completely connected with the entire demon race. The Emperor's robe on his body received the vast and boundless fortune of the demon race and immediately glowed with a mysterious light. The azure dragon, white tiger, black tortoise, vermilion bird, and Qilin all flew out from his body. They revolved around him. Crisp whistling sounds could be heard. In contrast, the Emperor's aura on his body became even more intense and astonishing. It was so intense that no one dared to look at him directly. Endless Emperor's aura flooded the entire ancient city like a tide. An invisible pressure fell on every cultivator. Even their minds seemed to be intimidated by this Emperor's aura. They had the illusion that they did not dare to look at him directly. Whoosh! At this moment, a snow-white divine light suddenly broke through the air from a mysterious place in the purple-gold continent without any warning. It headed toward the demon court and appeared outside the city in the blink of an eye. Moreover, that divine light carried an inexplicable mysterious power. The four directions' heavenly gates did not block it. It directly passed through the heavenly gates and entered the demon court. Appearing in the void, the divine light circled a few times in the air, full of spirituality. When it arrived above Di Shirtian, the divine light suddenly stopped and fell straight toward him. Smack! Di Shirtian naturally stretched out his left hand. The divine light landed on his left hand and made a soft sound. Then, the divine light dissipated. A square imperial jade seal appeared in his hand. The imperial jade seal carried an inexplicable emperor's will. The four sides of the imperial jade seal each had a totem portrait of an azure dragon, a white tiger, a black tortoise, and a vermilion bird. On the imperial jade seal, the image of a Qilin was engraved. This was an extremely unique top-grade Khanate spiritual treasure. It did not have much attack power, but it could carry boundless providence. This imperial jade seal, could it be the legendary one? Quick, look at the bottom of the imperial jade seal. Ming's breathing was a little rapid. He could not help but shout. Di Shirtian turned the bottom of the imperial jade seal to his eyes. Under the imperial jade seal, there were 8 divine runes. Carry the heavenly fate, live forever and prosper. These 8 divine runes seemed to contain a mysterious power. It seemed to carry the supreme power of destiny. The Emperor's Tao was the Tao of destiny. An emperor's golden mouth could change the fate of countless people. This imperial jade seal was the symbol of an emperor. Once the imperial jade seal fell, it carried the emperor's will. It's really it. This is an emperor's supreme treasure that was born in the chaos. It belongs to an emperor, the heavenly fate imperial jade seal. It is said that a powerful figure of the demon race obtained it back then, but no one can prove whether the news is true or not. Who would have thought that it would suddenly appear when you became the emperor? It seems that the powerful figures of the demon race are secretly infusing you. Ming shouted excitedly in his heart. He looked at the imperial jade seal with envy. This was a true emperor's supreme treasure. Only those who cultivated the emperor's Tao could use it. It was infinitely helpful in gathering providence. Most importantly, this imperial jade seal could suppress providence and prevent it from dissipating. This was the most precious thing about it. Whoosh! Just as Indra Shirtian was crowned as emperor and obtained the heavenly fate imperial jade seal, the demon sealing roll that was originally hanging on the demon sealing platform suddenly gathered together with countless purple mist. A true spirit flew out from Sumo's body and rushed into the roll. Inside the demon sealing rankings, the true spirit was madly devouring the vast amount of purple chi. It quickly condensed into a purple gold star. This star was much larger than the stars formed by the other true spirits on the rankings. It was much more resplendent. Around the star, there were mysterious rings of light. The halos devoured a large amount of demon race's providence and continuously refined the star. Not long after, the star shrank with every rotation of the halos. In the blink of an eye, it condensed into a purple-gold hexagonal crystal. This crystal carried a mysterious heavenly fate Taoist rhyme. Halos revolved around the purple-gold crystal. There were a total of 9 halos. Rumble. Every single strand of true spirit was a constellation. However, Sakra's constellation was tempered into a violet-gold crystal. In addition, in an instant, a mysterious throne condensed within the ranking board. On the throne, the divine image of Sakra could be seen floating in the air. It was full of majesty. The moment the divine statue appeared, the purple-gold crystal imprinted between its eyebrows. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidien. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 10:13. In an instant, the purple-gold crystal fused perfectly with the true spirit statue within. A hexagonal crystal appeared between the statue's eyebrows. It sat on the supreme throne, filled with endless emperor aura. A supreme pressure naturally spread out and filled the entire demon ceiling leaderboard. It was like the emperor of all the true spirits on the leaderboard. The hexagonal crystal exuded a powerful pressure that transcended the mortal world. This pressure was comparable to a peerless master. Hiss! What is that? The demon ceiling leaderboard can condense a divine statue? And what is that purple-gold crystal? I feel like I'm facing a peerless master on it. What's going on? Legend has it that the demon summoning banner has the miraculous ability to protect one's true spirit and make it eternal. This demon sealing roll was refined from the demon summoning banner. Logically speaking, the ability to protect one's true spirit should be its most basic ability. Could it be that this demon sealing roll has some other inconceivable power? I feel the rhythm of fate on the leaderboard, as if there's a mysterious mandate of heaven inside. When the heavenly Tao fuses with fate, it's the supreme mandate of heaven. How can there be such a power on the leaderboard? Could it be that the crystal is the legendary fate? This call caused the All Heavens cultivators to stop their discussion and fall into a deathly silence. Only heavy breathing reverberated in the air, as pairs of eyes stared at the demon ceiling leaderboard like wolves. Fate. It was an extremely miraculous existence. It was like the fate of all living things in the world was in the long river of fate. Some fates were already predetermined, while others were full of contradictions. However, there was one thing that was so illusory that even the long river of fate couldn't change it. It was a fate born from the fusion of the heavenly Tao and fate. Fate was illusory and hidden in the long river of fate. It didn't show the mountains or the water. Ordinary people couldn't find it. For example, at the moment of birth, an ordinary mortal would naturally have a destiny. This destiny determined that he would become the prime minister of the mortal world. Then, his body would naturally exude an invisible air of nobility, and even a strange appearance. Some fortune-tellers could often tell their achievements through these phenomena that ordinary people couldn't see. However, it was also 30% destined by the heavens and 70% determined by the words of the sages. If one did not work hard, no matter how high one's life providence was, it was still possible for one to accomplish nothing. A life providence only determined the highest achievement in one's life. That doesn't mean you can do it easily. However, one's fate will have a huge impact on one's true self. For example, if you are destined to be the Prime Minister, then your official career will be smooth sailing until you reach the position of Prime Minister. It was the same when it came to cultivation. Cultivation was a path that defied the heavens, and fate often couldn't limit a cultivator's achievements. However, the level of one's fate determined the lowest level one could reach. If one was destined to become an immortal king, then under the influence of one's fate, one would be able to smoothly break through all the bottlenecks in one's cultivation. As long as one persevered, they would definitely be able to become an immortal king. However, once one reached the immortal king realm, it would be extremely difficult to take another step forward. Every step forward was a breakthrough in one's fate. His cultivation speed would definitely be extremely slow. This was also a manifestation of potential. Heaven-defying, this was heaven-defying. Cultivation was heaven-defying, and what it went against was one's own fate. Who announced the appointment? When de Chertion saw the statue condensed on the demon's sealing list, a light flashed in his hand, and a purple-gold imperial edict appeared. He threw it at Hu below. The imperial edict seemed to be held by an invisible hand and quickly appeared in front of Hu. When Hu saw it, his face was flushed with excitement. At such an important moment, the imperial edict was not given to anyone else but to him. If this wasn't the imperial favor, what was it? He knew that this was the friendship that he had accumulated from following him from when he was still a nobody. Otherwise, among the billions of demons, he might not be ranked first in terms of intelligence. It was all because of the friendship from back then that his current position was as stable as Mount Tai. When the Demon King became the Emperor, the old officials like them would rise to the heavens. The carp leaping over the dragon's gate. Yes, your majesty, who stretched out his hands and respectfully held the imperial edict in his hands. He felt that the imperial edict contained a strong will of the emperor. His heart skipped a beat. After agreeing to de Chertion, he opened the imperial edict. With just a glance, his heart trembled violently. The emperor says, in accordance with the will of the ancient heroic spirits, today, I will enjoy the position of the demon emperor. The demon court will be established. However, the glory of the demon court also needs the countless heroes of the demon race to take care of it. Together, we will witness the rise of the demon court. I have risen from humble beginnings. Along the way, I have been accompanied by countless brothers. I have made boundless contributions to the demon race. Today, I will confer the title of minister. Chen Shi will be the demon empress, in charge of the Jade Pool, and enjoy the fate of an ancient demon god. As Hu read out the edict, his voice trembled slightly. I accept the order. Chen Shi looked at de Chertion, who was standing on the demon's sealing platform, and a trace of pride flashed in her eyes. This is my husband. Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, a true spirit flew out of Chen Shi's body and entered the demon's sealing chart. Under the mysterious power of the demon's sealing chart, the vast amount of qi from the demon's sealing chart quickly condensed. Just like before, it condensed into a 7-colored crystal. It was Chen Shi's birth chart. In the birth chart, one could clearly see 9 halos slowly rotating. Rumble. On the demon's sealing chart, a phoenix throne appeared next to de Chertion's statue. On the phoenix throne, the true spirit gathered the qi from the demon race and condensed into a statue that looked exactly like Chen Shi. The 7-colored birth chart instantly imprinted itself between her eyebrows, emitting a 7-colored halo that emitted a dense pressure. She naturally exuded the bearing of a mother of the world. Birth chart. That's really a birth chart. The demon sealing chart can actually condense birth charts, and even change them according to the demon emperor's edict. Heavens, the demon sealing chart actually has such a terrifying ability. This demon sealing actually seals a fate. My goodness, with a fate and a ladder to the heavens, the demon court will be able to confer titles to all of its officials. I'm afraid they'll immediately become powerful experts. The heavenly fortune jade seal can suppress qi, the heavenly ladder can pass down the great Tao, and the demon sealing chart can confer titles to ministers. The demon court has such a deep foundation. All the cultivators looked at the demon sealing chart with fervent gazes. They couldn't wait to seize it and make it their own treasure to seal their own birth charts. A birth chart that determined one's success. Who didn't want one? They could already see that the demon court would rise at an incredible speed today. Confer Katomi as a demon concubine, titled Consort Sheen. She will live in the Jade Lake's Aster Palace and enjoy the birth chart of an ancient demon god. Who continued to read. With every sentence, the white beard on his chin trembled. Ding, ding, ding. The same scene appeared on the demon ceiling chart again, but this time, a snow-white birth chart was condensed. There were also 9 halos in the birth chart. On a phoenix throne, a statue of Katomi appeared and fused with the birth chart. At the moment of fusion, Katomi could clearly feel the great Tao of rhythm in her mind clearer than ever. The original bottleneck seemed to be easily broken through. This was a breakthrough in the birth chart. Confer Su Tianxiang as a demon concubine, titled Consort Xiang. She will live in the Jade Lake's Heavenly Fragrance Palace and enjoy the birth chart of an ancient demon god. Rumble. Another white birth chart appeared on the demon ceiling chart. 9 halos spun continuously in the birth chart. A statue of Bai who appeared on the chart and fused with the birth chart. Confer Di Tianyu as one of the 6 royals, titled Ancient Celestial Emperor. He will live in the ancient celestial palace and enjoy the birth chart of an ancient demon god. The 6 royals were created by Mengshi and the others through discussion. They were in charge of various functions and were honorable positions that assisted the demon emperor in managing the demon court. The 6 royals were titled celestial emperors. Although it was only a title and did not require them to cultivate the emperor's path, they were only second to the demon emperor in terms of prestige. Similarly, the existence of the 6 royals was a kind of spur to the demons. Only one of the 6 royals was conferred. There were still 5 vacant seats. Those who were conferred the 6 royals would enjoy the birth chart of an ancient demon god. Under the demon emperor were the 6 royals. Who's Di Tianyu? Why haven't I heard of him before? Why is he conferred the title of one of the 6 royals? The cultivators were puzzled. However, they did not pay too much attention to it. The conferment continued. Confer Empress Dowager, confer Di Ling as the eldest princess, titled Princess Chongqing, confer Di Yen as the crown prince, confer Diu as the princess, titled Princess Tianyue, confer Yao Yu as the Holy Mother. One after another, the conferment of titles was read out. Immediately, a new birth chart would appear on the demon ceiling roll. These were all existences closest to Di Shirtian, and each of them represented the birth chart of an ancient demon god. The demon ceiling roll was incomparably wondrous, but it also had its own limitations. Di Shirtian was the leader of the demon ceiling roll, so the birth charts conferred on the roll could not be higher than his. Now that he was comparable to a peerless expert, the highest birth chart conferred on him was the birth chart of an ancient demon god. When a man attained the Tao, even his chickens and dogs would ascend to the heavens, let alone his relatives. Naturally, the conferment of titles pushed the birth charts to the limit. Following that, a series of conferments were read out. Each and every one of them caused the hearts of the cultivators in the all heavens to pound. The Emperor says, the demon court is divided into 6 ministries. The Ministry of Personnel, the Ministry of Revenue, the Ministry of Rights, the Ministry of War, the Ministry of Justice, and the Ministry of Works. The Ministry of Personnel is in charge of appointing officials of the demon court. The Ministry of Revenue is in charge of the number of demonlings in the demon court. The Ministry of Rights is in charge of etiquette and education. The Ministry of War is in charge of mobilizing armies and conquering heaven and earth. The Ministry of Works is in charge of smithing, concocting pills, brewing wine, and other such matters. Today, I confer titles to the officials. In the demon court, all of the cultivators and demonlings gathered their wits. If the previous conferment was said to be closer to the demon emperor and could be said to be the royal family of the demon race, then the current conferment was the one that truly operated the various functions of the demon court of Lingxiao. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian.com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 10:14. Hehe, 1,000 chapters. I never thought it would be so long. It's considered a breakthrough. It was also a conferment that truly concerned the fate of the demons. Only a perfect and complete demon court could truly benefit the entire demon race. This was an institution that the demons needed to be familiar with in the future. Every function might be directly related to them. With such an important impact, no one dared to be careless at this time. These 6 functions were actually guided by Di Shirtian from the side. He borrowed from the various dynasties of ancient Huaxia in his previous life and condensed the essence of it after countless trials and tribulations. The 6 departments were almost in charge of all kinds of functions. As long as they were operated well, it was enough to make the entire demon court operate at high speed like a precision machine. The 6 departments are divided into the recruitment department, the conferment department, the disciplinary department, and the meritorious service department. Recruitment department, responsible for the examination of the ranks of the demon court officials, including their listing, conferment, selection, and promotion. Responsible for the recruitment of officials. Conferment department, responsible for the conferment of nobility in the demon court. Disciplinary department, responsible for the enforcement of the demon court's civil service officials, whether they have a clean background, citizenship, and reclaiming their names. Meritorious service department, responsible for the punishment of the demon court officials and the discussion of their own merits. Above the 6 departments are the left and right prime ministers. Conferment, who will be the left prime minister, temporarily in charge of the Ministry of Personnel, and select officials. First grade. Salary, 100,000 demon coins per month. Life Providence, ancient sky demon, the corners of whose mouth trembled slightly. His face was flushed with excitement. After he finished reciting, a true spirit in his body flew into the demon's sealing roll. Inside, a life providence quickly condensed. 8 circles of light appeared in this life providence. It meant that this life providence was the life providence of an ancient sky demon, whose statue quickly condensed and fused with the life providence. On the demon's sealing roll, he faced Di Shirtian and stood respectfully at the first position on the left. Your humble servant thanks your majesty for bestowing this title. From now on, I will do my best for the demon court and will not disappoint your majesty's expectations. After Hu finished reading, he looked excited and knelt down to Di Shirtian without hesitation. He said loudly, every word of his carried a kind of heartfelt sincerity. The left prime minister was the head of the civil officials. What kind of trust was this? How could he not feel the same way? He was absolutely loyal. Get up and continue reading. Di Shirtian nodded. With the establishment of the demon court this time, he naturally wouldn't mistreat these courtiers who had followed him all this time. Not only did he have to reward them, but he also had to reappoint them. These people who had followed him all the way here were the most loyal to him. They were his most precious wealth. The reward this time was also for all the demons to see. As long as they had the ability, even if they came from a humble background, they would still be able to rise to a high position. The functions of the Ministry of Revenue, responsible for all the territory of the demon court, 129,600 spaces, farmland, household registration, taxes, salaries, and all financial matters. It is divided into the Department of Measurement, the Department of Household Registration, the Department of Revenue Suppression, the Department of Coinage, and the Department of Salaries. The Jubao Court will be incorporated into the Ministry of Revenue. The functions of the Ministry of Rights, responsible for ceremonial matters, the use of auspicious, military, guest, and fiend ceremonies. It is divided into the Department of Rites, the Department of Ancestral Priests, the Department of Foreign Guests, and the Department of Casting Seals. The functions of the Ministry of War, responsible for military matters in the Demon Court. The functions of the Ministry of Justice, responsible for the Demon Court's laws, punishments, cases, and apprehension of criminals. The functions of the Ministry of Works, responsible for the Demon Court's various buildings, casting, and even refining weapons and pills. With a series of words, he quickly announced the 6 functions of the Demon Court to the entire demon race. The various functions were abnormally clear and simple. Just by listening, all the demons in the ancient city understood the role of the 6 departments. Some of the ambitious demons could not help but have their eyes lit up. Upon hearing the division of the 6 departments, they vaguely guessed that now that the Demon Court had just been established, the demand for officials would definitely be unprecedentedly huge. As long as they seized the opportunity, they would immediately be able to leap through the Dragon's Gate and become famous in one fell swoop. They might even be able to rise to the top. Their hearts were burning with passion. "Where is Mengshi?" Who shouted? "Mengshi is here." Nightmare Demon King Mengshi took a step forward and stood respectfully. Mengshi is hereby appointed as the right Prime Minister of the Demon Court. She is in charge of military mobilization. She will fight in all directions. She will be ranked first. Salary, 100,000 demon coins per month. Life Providence, Ancient Sky Demon. Mengshi is defeated. Thank you, Emperor. When Mengshi heard this, she bowed respectfully and accepted the position of right Prime Minister. The power and authority of this position was immeasurable. She was in charge of military affairs, which meant that she was in charge of the mobilization of the various legions. Given Mengshi's abilities, it was just right for her to hold such a high position. As of this moment, the position belonged to none other than him. The Ministry of War has 5 legions: Azure Dragon, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, White Tiger, and Qilin. Qihua is appointed as the Azure Dragon Legion's Generalissimo. Long Yu is appointed as the Deputy Generalissimo. Generalissimo is ranked 2nd. Salary, 80,000 demon coins per month. Life Providence, Ancient Sky Demon. Deputy Generalissimo is ranked 3rd. Salary, 70,000 demon coins per month. Life Providence, Ancient Sky Demon. Qihua and Long Yu stepped forward and bowed at the same time. Life Providence was formed. Eagle Void is appointed as the Vermilion Bird Legion's Generalissimo. Jin Xian is appointed as the Deputy Generalissimo. Yuan Zhan is appointed as the White Tiger Legion's Generalissimo. Quinyu is appointed as the Deputy Generalissimo. Xiongba is appointed as the Black Tortoise Legion's Generalissimo. Shui Ling is appointed as the Deputy Generalissimo. Shi Tian is appointed as the Qilin Legion's Generalissimo. The position of Deputy Generalissimo is currently vacant. There weren't many changes to the Generalissimo of the 5 legions. According to Di Shitian's original plan, the 5 legions should have been led by the 5 imperial clans of the demon race in ancient times. However, now that the Azure Dragon, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, White Tiger, and Qilin Legion had been separated, they could only be led by their original members. Everyone who was called stepped forward to express their gratitude. Their true spirits flew up to the demon's sealing roll, where they condensed one divine image after another and received one life providence after another. Military Governor is to join the Ministry of War. He is to lead the Azura Killers and be in charge of the training of the demon army. Anyone who wishes to join the demon army in Myriad Demon City must undergo the military governor's training, including discipline, battle skills, and teamwork. Rank 2. 80,000 demon coins per month. Life Providence, Ancient Heavenly Demon. Azura Killers took a step forward. A hint of excitement could be seen in his eyes. Although his face was expressionless, He could clearly sense the great benefits of condensing one's life providence. The Heavenly Punishment Legion is to join the Ministry of War. Its subordinates are the Heaven Division, Earth Division, Black Division, Yellow Division, U Division, Ian Division, Hong Division, and Desolate Division. There are 8 divisions. Each division is temporarily set to have 1 million demon soldiers. Blood Devouring is to be the Heaven Division's commander. Rank 2. 80,000 demon coins per month. Life Providence, Ancient Heavenly Demon. The Ministry of War is to expand the 12 Zodiac Legions. There are currently no commanders for each division. The first division is to be established. Only those with the bloodline of the 12 Zodiac Beasts can enter. The number of demon soldiers in each division is temporarily set to be 300,000. Blood Devouring is to be the commander of the Demon Guards. He will join the Ministry of Justice to supervise thousands of demons. Rank 2. 80,000 demon coins per month. Life Providence, Ancient Heavenly Demon. Who read out the orders one by one. One by one, the conferred demons condensed their god statues on the demon sealing roll and condensed their life providences. Almost all the demons that had followed him in the past were all heavily rewarded and conferred high positions. They enjoyed their life providences. It took an entire day for the conferment to be completed. When all the conferments were read out, the All Heavens cultivators were still shocked. When Di Shirtian saw this, he waved his hand, and all the conferred officials entered the Lingshao Palace. He sat on the throne. Di Shirtian scanned the officials in the hall. They were all old officials. He thought to himself, the demon court is so huge. These officials are far from enough. I have to select a group of capable officials as soon as possible. Left Prime Minister. Di Shirtian looked at Hu and said. Naturally, there was a kind of majesty that intimidated the entire hall. Your servant is here. Hu immediately stepped forward, stood in the hall, and answered respectfully. As the left Prime Minister, you are in charge of the Ministry of Personnel and other matters except for the Ministry of War. Now, the Demon Court has just been established. If it wants to operate, it needs a large number of officials. Pass this Emperor's decree. A year later, recruit talents from the entire demon race. Those who have management talent can be hired. Yes. When Hu heard this, he nodded and agreed. He also knew that selecting a group of core members was the most important thing now. It was urgent, so he naturally agreed. Order the Demon Court to open the 129,600 worlds in the Demon Court. The demons can choose to enter the worlds they like and live there. Build cities. All the small worlds can return to the Demon Court through the Well of Demons and God. Each world should have a realm lord. If a city is built in the world, there should be a city lord. After the outstanding talents are selected, they will be placed in the 129,600 world. Di Shirtian said again. Although the Demon Court continued to increase with the grade of the ancient city, there was a huge expansion every time, making the interior extremely spacious. However, the number of demons increased rapidly. If all of them lived in the ancient city, it would inevitably be a little too messy. And the 129,600 worlds derived from the ancient city had been completely stabilized. They had obtained the wealth and resources in the spatial faults in the forbidden area of Tianmen. These derived worlds had become incomparably rich, and even the size of the worlds had become incomparably huge. It was just enough for most of the demons to live in. Open the 129,600 worlds? In the hall, a thoughtful look appeared in the eyes of the officials. After experiencing the benefits, it would be easier to manage. The 3 lists and 1 chart is about to reopen. Before that, all of you should go to the heavenly ladder to train a few times. Although the rankings on the 3 lists and 1 chart have little to do with us demons, we can't let the various races think that there are no strong people in the demon court. The killing field will always be the best place to improve one's cultivation. Shirtian's eyes were filled with determination as he swept his gaze over the demons. He had a premonition that the reopening of the 3 lists and 1 chart was very close. Once it opened, the cultivators of the various heavens would fight for it at all costs. For a long time, people like Hu and Mingxi had lacked a strong opponent to train with. Under the protection of the supreme divine artifact of the demon court, they rarely had the chance to fight alone. This time, it was an excellent opportunity to train. With the demon sealing list, he was not afraid that they would die in the battle. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 10-15. Damn, I just realized that it's the double monthly ticket period. Brothers, if you have tickets, help me throw a few. Yes, Your Majesty. In the Great Hall, the eyes of the officials flickered with a strange light. They had always been the geniuses of the demon race, because they managed the demon court and were in charge of various matters in the ancient city. They had never had the chance to leave the demon court and go out to fight with the geniuses of the various races. Now that the demon court had been established, they only needed to wait a year to recruit talents from the entire demon race and select enough talents to enter the demon court. They would enter the 129,600 spaces under the demon court and take charge of the operations of each space. Then, they would have the chance to free themselves and participate in the battle for the 3 lists and 1 chart. With the demon sealing roll and their true spirit immortals, there was no need to worry at all. This was the rarest opportunity to train before the tide of annihilation arrived. Now, they all knew very well that Shirtian's gaze would never stop at the foundation in front of him. Instead, he would constantly look forward. If they did not work hard, even with the Demon Emperor's support, it would be difficult to convince their subordinates in the future in the face of the demon race's geniuses that emerged dauntlessly below them. Bai Yue, Ing Kong, Yuan Tian, Yuan Zhan, and the others in the Great Hall all exuded a blazing light. Their bodies overflowed with a majestic fighting spirit. Their fate had all been raised to the ancient heavenly demon realm. As long as they were willing to work hard, they would almost certainly be able to reach the peak of the ancient heavenly demon realm. In the future, if they received the Emperor's favor and were conferred nobility, they might be able to raise their fate to the ancient heavenly demon realm. The demon court had a system for conferring nobility. From high to low, it was divided into 5 ranks: Emperor, King, Lord, General, and Scholar. The conferment of nobility was based on one's contributions to the demon court. Each title represented a status symbol, as well as the level of a race's bloodline. This was another miraculous ability of the demon sealing roll. Once a person was conferred a noble title, the demon sealing roll would naturally release a mysterious power that would raise their bloodline to a corresponding noble title. Raising one's bloodline meant raising one's descendants. For example, Ing Kong was just an ordinary vulture in the mortal world. Once he raised his noble rank and bloodline to the level of nobility, his bloodline would transform, and his descendants would be born royal among the vultures. If they could reach the rank of general, their descendants would be the kings of all eagle demons. He was a natural eagle king. The bloodline was noble. If one became a king, they would be the royal family of the entire Yao clan. If one became an emperor, they would be the royal family of the Yao clan, just like the 3-legged golden crow, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise. It could be seen that the title of nobility affected the descendant. In the Yao clan, since ancient times, there have been many experts left. Perhaps these experts yearned for freedom and did not like to be bound by certain duties, but they did not lack the determination to do their part for the Yao clan's rise. I have decided to establish a pavilion after the Jubao court, the Scripture Pavilion, the Alchemy Pavilion, the Forging Pavilion, the Immortal Brew Pavilion, and the Rare Treasure Pavilion, the Purple Heaven Pavilion. Sakura swept his gaze across the Grand Hall and spoke again. The Grand Hall was silent as everyone listened attentively. He paused for a moment before continuing. Purple Heaven Pavilion has taken in many strong practitioners and talents of our demon race. As long as one reaches the level of an ancient heaven demon, they are qualified to stay in Purple Heaven Pavilion and enjoy a monthly salary of 100,000 demon coins. Fate, Ancient Heaven Demon. There are many resources in the demon court that can be used first, obtained, or even purchased. Those with great potential can also enter the Purple Heaven Pavilion. In the demon race, there were many experts who were not good at marching and fighting, nor were they good at various administrative matters. They only focused all their energy on cultivation. Bai Xian, one of the 8 great monster kings, was such an example. Your Majesty's decision is brilliant. Mengxi's eyes shone with wisdom. She stepped forward and said, in the demon court there are many experts. Once the Purple Heaven Pavilion is established, it will be the best place for them to go. For example, the 8 great monster kings, Bai Xian, Sky-devouring Rat King, Ancient Monster Tree King, Blood Dragon King, and Golden-Winged Bat King can all be recruited into the Purple Heaven Pavilion. For example, the Gourd Child, Xie Sanyang, and Blissful Boy can also be recruited into the Purple Heaven Pavilion. They will be provided with all kinds of cultivation resources to help increase their strength. In the future, they will become the strongest foundation of the demon court. What was the most important thing for an imperial dynasty and a clan to survive in this world? It was none other than having experts who could keep the heavens in check. Now that the demon court was established, it was the time to coordinate all forces and cultivate their own experts. Little by little, they would accumulate the supreme foundation of the demon court. The Purple Cloud Pavilion came out of luck and could not be stopped. Good. Tian Can, Huang Quan. Shi Tian looked at the 2 old men who had been standing beside him. Your Majesty! The 2 old men stepped forward and answered respectfully. The 2 of you were the most outstanding formation masters and refiners of the Yao clan in the ancient times. Today, I appoint Tian Can to be in charge of the forging pavilion. Tian Can will be the pavilion master. His salary will be 150,000 demon coins per month. He will enjoy his fate as an ancient heavenly demon. I will establish another pavilion called the Formation Pavilion. Huang Quan will be the pavilion master. His salary will be 150,000 demon coins per month. He will enjoy his fate as an ancient heavenly demon. Of the 2, Tian Can was the most famous refiner in the ancient times, and Huang Quan was the most famous formation master. It was simply appropriate for the 2 of them to be in charge of 2 pavilions. Moreover, they were both ancient heavenly demons. Their identities could be said to be noble. Thank you for your high hopes, Your Majesty. We will take good care of the 2 pavilions. When Tian Can and Huang Quan heard this, their faces faintly revealed a look of excitement. These 2 appointments just happened to match their temperament. It was the position that they liked the most. Moreover, the bestowed fate was equally important to them. One had to know that to become a heavenly demon, every step forward was an extremely difficult thing, especially when it came to condensing one's will. Without that kind of potential, one would never be able to touch it in their lifetime and could only be forever stagnant. And with this fate, it meant that even if one might not be able to touch one's will in their lifetime, under the guidance of the fate, they would have the opportunity to glimpse the realm of will. This was also extremely important to the 2 old men. Dan Wang. Shi Tian called out again. Your humble servant is here. He was dressed in a light yellow robe. Although his appearance was that of an old man, his face was glowing with health and vigor. When he heard the call, he immediately walked out and answered respectfully. In his words, his attitude was extremely humble. He knew that it was already a blessing to be able to keep his life after what he had done in the land of exile. Now, the establishment of the demon court allowed him to see the foundation of the demon court with his own eyes. Moreover, he was a human. Although he had been exiled, It did not change the fact that he was a human. All along, he had been extremely low-key in the ancient city. Indra stared at the Pill Emperor, his eyes gleaming with sharpness as though he could see through everything with a single glance. With regards to the Pill Emperor, he had never once paid less attention to him. The Pill Emperor's exquisite pill concoction techniques were truly rare to come by. In this world, there were very few who could compare to him. After a moment of silence, he said in a deep voice, "Although you are a human, you were once exiled by the human race. This emperor does not care about your background. Based on your talent, I would like to appoint you as the Alchemy Pavilion Master and take charge of alchemy matters in the demon court. Are you willing?" His gaze was deep and there was a touch of indifference in his voice. It was as if he was asking casually. "Your humble servant is willing. From now on, I will wholeheartedly put the interests of the demon court first." Dan Wang agreed on the spot without hesitation. However, his heart was dripping with cold sweat. He thought to himself, "If I hesitate at this time, I'm afraid I won't be able to see the alchemy furnace tomorrow." Good. Title: Dan Wang is the Alchemy Pavilion Master. Salary: 150,000 demon coins. Fate: Ancient Sky Demon. Di Shirtian nodded. He was not stingy and immediately gave the title. "Where is Yuan Tian?" "Your humble servant is here." Di Shirtian looked at Yuan Tian, who had golden monkey hair and was wearing a beast robe made from the skin of powerful fierce beasts. His eyes were bright and shrewd. He smiled and said, "Yuan Tian, you like to brew wine. For a long time, you have brewed countless spiritual wines for the demon court. Today, you are the pavilion master of the Immortal Brew Pavilion. Salary: 150,000. Fate: Ancient Sky Demon." "Thank you for the title, Your Majesty." Yuan Tian happily scratched his head, then quickly sang a song and agreed. Di Shirtian nodded slightly. In the demon court there were the Jubao Court, Qizhen Pavilion, Immortal Brew Pavilion, Purple Cloud Pavilion, Sutra Depository Pavilion, Forging Pavilion, Alchemy Pavilion, and Array Pavilion. Among the 8 pavilions, only the Jubao Court, Qizhen Pavilion, and Sutra Depository Pavilion did not have a suitable person to take charge of them. Minister Zhua, after the meeting, send my imperial edict to the banished land and appoint Treasure Boy as the pavilion master of the Jubao Court. If he agrees, I will open the passage between the 2 worlds. Then, he will leave the banished land. Di Shirtian pondered for a moment and said, "Treasure Boy?" When Old Fox heard this, wisps of wisdom flashed across his eyes. He had heard Meng Shi mention this person before, and he had a very deep impression of him. He had unparalleled attainments in refining treasures, searching for treasures, and appraising treasures. If he were to take charge of the Jubao Court, it would be a good thing. "Yes, Your Majesty." Who felt that it made sense, did not object and immediately agreed. "When I was still insignificant, I entered the secular world and became acquainted with China, a country of the human race. I became the totem of China. Now I am outside the heavenly Sound Valley. The incense and willpower when I refined the divine crystal all came from China. If it were not for the faith of China, the demon court would not have been built so smoothly. Now that the demon court has been established, I want to move all of China into the demon court and send them to one of the 129,600 worlds. Let's reproduce and provide the demon court with endless incense and willpower. I don't know what you all think." After Di Shirtian finished talking about everything in the demon court, he suddenly threw out a bomb. China was the country of the human race that he met when he went to the Heavenly Sound tribe to learn how to play the guqin. He even set up the first move and became the totem of China. His status was high, even higher than that of the Emperor of China. The incense and willpower that he produced every day was huge. Moreover, he knew that there were no less than 3 billion people in China at the moment. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 10:16. The 3 billion humans prayed to Di Shirtian's statue almost every morning, noon, and night. As a totem, he had penetrated deeply into the flesh and blood of China's 3 billion people. He had become a well-deserved spiritual faith and was incomparably pious. The power of incense and will born every day was poured into the demon court. Every inch of the ancient city was tempered by the power of incense and will every day. If one day Di Shirtian's totem disappeared from China, who knew how many people who believed in him would directly go crazy or even commit suicide due to the collapse of their faith? The fact that the Yao clan could achieve what they had today couldn't help but be said to have been greatly aided by China. There was a relationship between them that couldn't be erased. In terms of friendship, letting China enter the demon court, or even specifically carving out a space among the 129,600 worlds for them to reproduce and live, was a reasonable matter. However, the fact that China was a human was an indelible fact placed in front of them. Humans could be said to be the eternal pain in the hearts of the Yao clan. The betrayal of the Yao clan in ancient times had caused the Yao clan to feel endless disgust and loathing toward humans. Who knew if China would suddenly backstab the Yao clan after entering the demon court, just like the Yao clan in ancient times? One must learn from one's mistakes. If they were to accept them, it would be like inviting a wolf into the house. This was an unavoidable problem. In this regard, Di Shirtian didn't arbitrarily make a decision. Instead, he directly brought it up for the officials to discuss and decide together. Sure enough, as soon as his voice fell, the entire hall couldn't help but fall silent. Clearly, they were all shaken up by this topic. The decision to make was very simple, but the issues involved were extremely important. It would have a huge impact on the entire demon court. Your Majesty, humans are the root of disaster. Back in ancient times, there was no doubt about the bad nature of humans. The humans even had a saying, "Those who are not of our race are bound to have a different heart, and their bodies can be killed." If we accept China, it might lead to an ancient disaster. I think this matter must not be done. A rough voice sounded. In the right row, Chi Hua, who was dressed in green armor and had a trace of disgust on his face, stood up and said loudly. His wife and children had been buried in the hands of human cultivators. He hated humans to the extreme. Now, he heard that China was going to be accepted into the demon court. It touched his most sensitive part on the spot. Almost without thinking, he stood up and objected. That's right. After countless years, we've long since seen the nature of the human race. In their eyes, any non-human can be killed, and should be exterminated. If we accept them into the demon court, it might be a huge disaster. Some of the demon ministers also agreed. Most of them had instinctive resistance to humans. Otherwise, I don't think so. Suddenly Chi Hui's voice, Yao clan's voice? Minister of the Right Minister, could it be that Minister of the Right wants to support China's entry into the demon court? Pairs of eyes looked in the direction of the voice. When they saw it, they couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. Please speak, Minister of the Right. Di Shirtian looked at Mengshi with interest and nodded, indicating for him to continue. That's right. Everyone knows that in ancient times, the human clan protected our demon clan. That's why we grew stronger and turned against them in the end. There are 2 reasons for this. Firstly, it's the human clan's character. Secondly, it's because our demon clan never paid attention to them. That's why we gave them a chance to turn against us. As for other humans, Mengshi naturally wouldn't agree to accept them. However, China is different. Mengshi smiled faintly and spoke with assurance. His body was brimming with confidence and a unique temperament that made people believe in him. He paused and continued, "As Your Majesty said, China regards Your Majesty as a totem. 3 billion people pray and burn incense every day. They are devout believers. It can be said that Your Majesty is the only God in their hearts. Faith is the thing that can make people go crazy. It's also the most selfless thing. As long as they believe in Your Majesty sincerely, there will never be a day of rebellion. Indeed, faith was the most beautiful and firm side of every living being's heart. It was a spiritual pillar. Once it was possessed, it would almost never change. Just like in his previous life, if a believer of the Taoist Three Pure Ones from a young age were to face the Three Pure Ones, even if they were to die, they probably wouldn't even frown. It was even more impossible for them to attack the Three Pure Ones. Denying faith was denying the meaning of one's life. As long as one firmly grasped the position of totem faith, China would never have the slightest possibility of rebellion. Mingxi's words were loud and clear. They echoed in the hall and reached everyone's ears. It was like a ball of ice water that was poured into the hearts of all the demon officials. They could not help but slowly calm down. That's right, hatred was one aspect. However, the interests of the demon court were also the most important issue. They could not help but secretly understand the deeper meaning behind Mingxi's words. Moreover, once China enters the demon court, the incense and willpower produced every day will be able to continuously temper the demon court. In terms of faith, the human race is extremely pure. The incense and willpower that they emit can compare to 10 times the amount of other races. It can be said that their potential is huge. For public and private reasons, I think that China should move into the demon court. In the end, Mengxi expressed his opinion to Di Shitian. That's right, I agree. When Hu heard this, he agreed without hesitation. China is different from the other human race. It can be said that they have been educated by His Majesty. Moreover, if they enter the demon court, they can slowly make China get closer to the demon race. Furthermore, if there are any changes, the demon court will be controlled by His Majesty. It will be easy to destroy all the rebels. I also think that China can be moved into the demon court. Qi Hua, who was the first to object, frowned when he heard this. However, after thinking about it, he did not continue to object. He also knew that this was a huge benefit to the demon court. There was no opposition in the hall. Di Shitian scanned the hall and nodded to himself. He said in a deep voice, "All right, pass down this emperor's decree. One of the 129,000 spaces will be divided into a space called the Yanhuang realm. It will belong to China. Pass down the order to China to choose a day to move into the demon court." With that, the first court meeting ended. However, the officials did not have time to spare. Who went to receive the congratulatory envoys from the various races and receive congratulatory gift. Mingxi had to arrange the military affairs, transfer, and even the addition of the various large armies. Although the commanders of most of the armies had not been confirmed, the current structure of the armies needed to be established. At the very least, the demon soldiers in the armies needed to be adjusted. At this moment, China was in an uproar. A rumor quickly spread throughout China like the wind. Countless discussions rang out in various cities. Is it true? Did the totem god really send down a divine decree to move all of China to the supreme divine country where only the gods can live? Live with the gods? Heavens, the totem god has finally sent down a divine decree again. China has expanded time and time again, fighting other countries. Every time we encounter danger, as long as we pray to the totem god, the sacred tiger, we can get through it. Even the last time when the immortal sects came to destroy China, they were directly blasted away by the sacred tiger's divine light. China can only continue with the sacred tiger. This is great. This time, the gods feel our sincerity and will accept us to live in the divine country where there is no pain and no worries. To be able to live closer to God is a supreme grace. It is said that in the prophecies of the gods, even if one dies in the divine kingdom, they will be integrated into the divine kingdom after death. They will become immortal together with the divine kingdom, eternal and indestructible. This is a blessing from the gods. Almost half of the people in China were ordinary people. In their hearts, Di Shirtian was already an inviolable god. Now that they had heard the news, their eyes began to shine and they were secretly excited. They all cheered. China's imperial palace. On a stargazing platform, a middle-aged emperor in a royal robe stood on it. This middle-aged emperor had the majesty of an emperor on his face. One could vaguely see the outline of his youth on his face. He was the emperor of China, who had formed a relationship with Di Shirtian, Hua Wenwu. Mr. D, oh Mr. D, after waiting for so many years, there is finally news of you again. I, Hua Wenwu, am where I am today, all thanks to you. This time, you actually promised me a seat of the Realm Master. Longevity, this is giving me longevity. Hua Wenwu's lips were trembling slightly. His eyes were unusually deep as he looked into the void, but he could not hide the excitement in them. For any emperor, while holding power, there was one thing that they could never let go of, and that was longevity. The longer one sat on the throne, the stronger one's desire for eternal power would be. Their longing for longevity would become stronger and stronger, and they would not be able to give up. Even Hua Wenwu could not avoid it. Power, women, the power of life and death. He could have everything in the secular world. The only thing he could not obtain was eternal longevity. His foundation was not the aptitude for immortal cultivation. If he stepped on the path of immortal cultivation, he would only achieve half the results with twice the effort. In the future, his achievements would be limited. Therefore, Hua Wenwu had long placed his only hope on the mysterious Mr. D that he had met back then. Every time he saw the miracle of the totem statue, his belief that Mr. D could give him longevity became more and more firm. Therefore, when he promoted the totem belief, he spared no effort. Without any restrictions, the totem belief penetrated deep into the entire China. It was so that when he saw Mr. D again in the future, he could be valued. However, he did not expect that this gift would come so inconceivably. Realm Master, the master of a realm. It actually made him the master of a realm. In the past, this was something that he did not even dare to think about. Mr. D, I, Hua Wenwu, will definitely not let you down. If this migration is not done well, I, Hua Wenwu, will not have the face to see you again. Hua Wenwu's eyes flashed with determination. He turned around and left the observatory to deal with the migration. I recommend a new book by Brother Tiger. The book is called, If You Like It, Please Support It. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidyan. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 10:17. From the very beginning, the belief of totems had been deeply ingrained in China. As long as one was a citizen of China, there was no exception to the belief of totems. If one was a citizen of China and did not believe in totems, there would be an invisible resistance in the entire country, and they would be looked at differently. Every family, even children, would know about totems from the moment they could remember, and would follow their parents in believing in totems. Totems were deeply ingrained in the hearts of every citizen. This belief was deeply ingrained and could not be changed. At this moment, they heard that the totems they had always believed in were going to take them away from here and into the world where totems live. Not only was there no resistance, but there was also an extremely excited atmosphere. The demon court was still hanging in the sky above the heavenly Sound Valley. The ancient city was vast and boundless, and the 4 heavenly gates were looming. China was the closest to the heavenly Sound Valley, and one could almost see the ancient city when they looked up. They heard that the ancient city was where the gods lived, and the citizens were all very willing. 1 month later, China's migration has officially begun. Demon Court, receive the divine light and lead us to Yan Huang. On the purple gold mainland, the sun rose high in the sky, emitting a warm light that illuminated the land. The wind was gentle, and the clouds were moving freely. The breeze brought with it a natural fragrance. Throughout China, countless citizens came out of their houses and looked up at the sky, at the divine city hanging in the sky. Their eyes were filled with enthusiasm, and their faces were full of anticipation. Suddenly, an imperial edict, like a heavenly emperor's edict, fell from the demon court and covered the whole of China in an instant, filling every inch of the void and falling into the minds of every citizen. Miraculously, except for China, no other country could hear it. It's here. God is here to receive us. We can finally enter the kingdom of God and live together with God. Countless citizens were so excited that even their voices were trembling. Rumble! The demon court, which had been motionless, suddenly shook. Immediately, countless strange celestial phenomena appeared around the ancient city. Sounds of nature rang out, and countless fairies danced around the ancient city. All kinds of auspicious signs appeared, and the ancient city appeared in the sky above China. Swish! A beam of purple-gold divine light shot out from the ancient city. Like a tide, it spread from the edge of China to the other side. Wherever it passed, one could clearly see that all the buildings, all the people, and even the animals and plants disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. There was only a flat plain on the ground. The guiding divine light that descended from the demon court actually guided the commoners and all kinds of buildings inside. It could be said to be a miracle. This scene made the Hua Nation citizens who had yet to be taken in look even more expectant and joyful. As a supreme artifact, the demon court had reached the level of a high-grade supreme artifact. The great Daos in the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive were continuously perfected, causing Gu Cheng's divine abilities to become even stronger. The speed of the guiding divine light was extremely fast. In just a few breaths, the entire China was covered by the divine light. In the blink of an eye, there were 3 billion people in China. They were all taken into the demon court and entered the flame-yellow world. Waves of pure faith power turned into a milky white light that poured into the demon court. Ding ding ding! In the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive, a milky white talisman that emitted a holy light suddenly shot out billions of rays of holy light. This talisman was only 1/10 complete. Suddenly, waves of pure faith power and prayers were transmitted from Gu Cheng. Immediately, the entire talisman grew at a speed visible to the naked eye and was mended. Health, longevity, wealth, power, love, marriage, etc. All sorts of wishes appeared within the talisman. All sorts of wishes and things that the living beings hoped for were born within the talisman. Countless living beings appeared within the talisman and continuously prayed. They prayed devoutly, letting out bursts of prayers. The entire talisman seemed to be connected to countless invisible threads of faith. It quickly spread into the void. Rumble! In the blink of an eye, the originally incomplete talisman was completed at an astonishing speed. The entire talisman shone brightly, emitting boundless divine light. The talisman of faith was completed. 3 billion people entered the demon court and emitted the purest faith power, almost instantly mending the talisman of faith. In almost an instant, 30 threads of faith were connected to the talisman. Whoosh! The talisman of faith split into a phantom and quickly imprinted itself into an illusory lotus platform in the void. Immediately, the lotus platform materialized into a pure and holy white lotus. Inside it, the power of incense quickly filled the entire world, turning the entire small world into a godlike country. The talisman of faith is complete. The moment the great Tao was perfected, Sakra immediately sensed it. After sensing it slightly, he thought to himself, "Good, good, good. Once the talisman of faith is perfected, it will open up a country of faith. From now on, after those believers in China die, their souls will be led to this country and they will become saints. Not only will they be able to live forever, but they will also be able to continuously release the purest faith power." With a quick turn of his mind, he had a full understanding of the benefits brought about by the completion of the Talisman of Faith. In that case, let's complete the Talisman of Divine Path as well. In the jade pool, Sakra murmured in a low voice. A light flashed in his hand, and a jade slip that didn't seem to be special suddenly appeared. It was the Divine Tao jade slip that he had obtained in the past. Crazy D, you have to integrate this jade slip into the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive. This jade slip is only the first half of the complete record. There is still the second half that has not been obtained. If you get it and integrate the 2 jade slips, you may have unexpected gains. Isn't it a pity to integrate it into the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive now? Ming was slightly surprised when he saw this, and he frowned as he spoke. The second half of the Divine Path Jade Slip is illusory. It is still unknown whether you can find it. Instead of waiting for that faint hope, it is better to complete the Divine Path Talisman in the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive and have the talisman absorb the essence of the Divine Path from the void. As long as you have enough time, you can still obtain the secrets of the Divine Path from the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive. Di Shirtian was unmoved. In his view, the strength of the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive and the Demon Court was more important than anything else. Every complete Tao in the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive would strengthen the heaven, earth, and rules of the Demon Court even more. No treasure was more important than the strength of the Demon Court. The Divine Path Jade Slip was obviously made by a powerful Saint Emperor. When it was refined, countless Divine Path essences were integrated into it. The essence of the Divine Path contained within was enough for the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive to complete the initial steps of the talisman. Swoosh! With a casual toss, the Divine Path Jade Slip immediately appeared above the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive. As it was burned by the Chaos Divine Flame, countless mysterious Divine Tao laws seeped into the Jade Slip. They were integrated into the Divine Path Talisman. As expected, the talisman absorbed the entire Jade Slip in one fell swoop. The entire talisman was completed in the blink of an eye. Gods and godhoods appeared in the talisman. There were all kinds of divine positions, such as the Mountain God, Wealth God, Earth God, Kitchen God, Moon God, Star God, and so on. All kinds of divine positions appeared one after another. Rumble! Another Divine Tao Lotus platform was born in the sky. The energy of faith converged within it, transforming into strands of Divine Tao energy that filled every inch of space. At the same time, due to the perfection of the Divine Path and faith, mysterious Tao runes quickly spread across every inch of the ancient city in the Demon Court. As these Tao runes were outlined, the power of faith fused with the ancient city even more easily, tempering it without restraint. The heaven and earth rules of the Demon Court became even more rigorous. Even the barrier of heaven and earth grew several times stronger. It became more stable, and even the ancient city became tougher. The Demon Court has been upgraded again. The perfection of the 2 great Taos caused the heaven and earth of the Demon Court to change naturally. Some experts immediately sensed it. In the All Heavens Courier Hostel, in the courtyard belonging to the Star Tribe, he suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the void. He muttered softly, "What a mysterious Demon Court! It has been upgraded and transformed again and again. From the looks of it, it seems that another great Tao has been completed." The 3,000 great Taos in the Demon Court were far clearer than those in the outside world. It was endlessly beneficial for cultivation. There were more chains of law in the void just now. Clearly, another great Tao had been born. This speed of improvement was simply terrifying to the cultivators of the All Heavens. Fortunately, the Star Tribe has formed an alliance with the demon race. The stronger the Demon Court is, the more likely it is to be protected in the future. Not to mention other things, just some of the elite clansmen who come to the Demon Court to cultivate in peace will be able to gain much more than the outside world. Unfortunately, it seems that the Star Great Tao here is not complete. Xing He's eyes flashed. During his time in the demon court, he had met with Di Shirtian and discussed the alliance. Both sides had been very happy. At the same time, he also knew that almost half of the 100 clans in the All Heavens had expressed a friendly attitude towards the demon court. Crack! Rumble! However, at this moment, in the sky above the purple-gold mainland, countless loud thunderclaps suddenly sounded out of nowhere. Purple chi filled the sky from the east. Bolts of purple lightning flashed wildly like raindrops. The purple chi filled the sky and formed a huge ancient diagram. This ancient diagram was majestic and grand, and it encompassed the entire purple-gold mainland and all the realms in the universe. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Chidian.com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 10:18. A boundless pressure came crashing down from the sky like a tidal wave. The giant ancient diagram rapidly changed, and the figures of various races in the various heavens and boundless territories continuously appeared on it. The majestic chi seemed to have gathered the essence of the entire purple-gold mainland. The pressure it emitted was many times stronger than that of a peerless expert. Going against it was equivalent to going against the entire purple-gold mainland. It was as if the heavenly Tao had suddenly descended. The boundless power stunned countless cultivators and powerhouses on the spot. Even those who were in seclusion woke up from their seclusion and looked at the void. Similarly, it caused countless cultivators to be terrified. Oh my God, what is going on? Why would an ancient diagram suddenly appear in the sky of the purple-gold continent? And it's so terrifying. Facing it, I feel as small as an ant. It can easily crush me into powder. This pressure is even stronger than that of a peerless expert. Could it be that this ancient picture is an incredible supreme treasure? I seem to see another huge world in the ancient picture. What is going on? Could it be that the demon god continent has opened a passage and is coming to invade our source world? I have never heard of such an ancient picture in the world. This picture is obviously not an ordinary supreme treasure. I am afraid that it can destroy a peerless expert. Why did it suddenly appear? Countless cultivators were dumbfounded, and their hearts were filled with horror. Their minds were filled with fear of the unknown. The scene in front of them was something that none of them had experienced before. Facing the unknown, they were often the most confused and fearful. However, there were many experts who were looking at the ancient map in the air. Their brows furrowed as if they were deep in thought. Rumble! At this moment, a violent roar came from the purple-gold mainland. In the center, the earth was shaking violently, and a terrifying low roar was heard. Then, in the center of the earth, a divine mountain with thousands of blades was forcibly pulled out from the ground. The entire divine mountain emitted a heavy and majestic aura, like the unyielding spine of a god. On the divine mountain there were 4 divine lists. Each of the divine lists emitted a unique and mysterious Taoist rhyme, suppressing the surroundings. The colors of the lists were different. From the left there was a yellow list, a golden list, a purple list, and the last one was completely white. Each of the lists naturally emitted a hidden Taoist rhyme. There seemed to be many mysterious names on the list. However, at that moment, those names were being rapidly erased by a mysterious power. In the blink of an eye, it was all blank. The entire divine mountain rose from the ground and flew straight towards the ancient diagram that had appeared in the sky. In the blink of an eye, it appeared below the ancient diagram and collided with it. However, the strange thing was that the ancient diagram seemed to be illusory. It did not obstruct the divine mountain at all. The divine mountain instantly rushed into the ancient diagram and merged with it. It stood in the middle of the ancient diagram and suppressed the entire ancient diagram. The 4 lists emitted rays of light hiss. Countless cultivators gasped at the same time. Their eyes stared at the divine peak without blinking. Their faces turned green and white, and their expressions changed drastically. There was anticipation, fear, excitement, and so on. All kinds of complicated emotions quickly flowed and flickered in their eyes. The myriad-blade sky pillar peak. The one that rose from the ground is actually the myriad-blade sky pillar peak. That is the divine mountain with the 3 lists and 1 chart. It actually rushed into the ancient picture. The names on the 3 lists and 1 chart have been completely erased. Haha, the list has reopened. This is the reopening of the list, starting a new battle for the list. Those who enter the list are really like fish leaping over the dragon gate. From now on, their cultivation path will be smooth and they will have the opportunity to step onto the inconceivable peak. Could it be that this is the sign of the reopening of the list? What kind of treasure is this purple ancient picture? Could it be related to the reopening of the list? It even absorbed the divine mountain and the 3 lists and 1 chart. In an instant, the entire purple gold mainland was in an uproar. When they saw the list, they had already guessed that the scene in front of them might be related to the long-awaited reopening of the list. All along, all the cultivators had speculated about the reopening of the list, but they did not expect that the scene would be so shocking. Just the ancient picture alone was a mysterious treasure. Vaguely, they were looking forward to the 3 lists and 1 chart, but they were also inexplicably fearful. Rumble! Hundreds of millions of purple lightning bolts poured down from the ancient picture, and under the inexplicable power, they formed a sentence in the void. The 3 lists and 1 chart have reopened. Battle rules. Beauty overturns the heavens. Battle rules. The strong are respected. Those who want to enter the list can enter the ancient picture of the heavens. Those who enter the picture will die. This proverb constantly let out a vast thunder roar in the void. It emitted an unparalleled pressure. A mysterious message entered the minds of every cultivator in the purple gold continent and the myriad realms of the heavens. They instantly understood the existence of the ancient picture and the rules of the battle for the list. Whoosh! After the ancient picture absorbed the 10,000-blade sky pillar peak into the picture, it immediately merged into the void at a speed visible to the naked eye. It mysteriously disappeared, as if it had never appeared. Even the boundless pressure from before was completely withdrawn, and not a trace of it leaked out. But the miraculous thing was that almost any cultivator could clearly feel with their mind that there was a mysterious heaven-overturning ancient diagram in the sky above the violet gold continent. Moreover, they all understood that as long as they thought about it, they would be able to connect with this ancient diagram and be instantly sucked into it. They would be able to join the battle for the list. Once they entered, they would be in danger of dying at any time. All the cultivators in the purple gold mainland were stunned by this message and the scene they witnessed with their own eyes. What's going on? I heard that in ancient times, there was no need to fight for the 3 lists and 1 chart at all. They could automatically absorb the various ancient races, countless peerless geniuses, and countless peerless geniuses to choose from among them and become famous on the list. Why is it that this time, instead of choosing on their own, they have to fight for it personally? The change in the 3 lists and 1 chart's ranking method is likely to stir up a boundless bloodbath in the heavens above. This is simply gambling with one's life. It's not like in ancient times where those with talent could reap the rewards without putting in effort. This is eliminating those geniuses who have talent but lack the perseverance and corresponding battle strength. The heaven, earth, and mortal lists that are chosen in this way are the true peerless geniuses. It puts an end to all those who fish in troubled waters. However, this kind of competition is really too dangerous. If you're not careful, you'll directly lose your life. Countless people's expressions changed inwardly. If one did not have a certain level of courage, they would not dare to fight for the 3 lists and 1 chart, let alone enter the 3 lists and 1 chart. However, they believed that even with such a threshold and danger, it would still not be able to stop the waves of all heaven's cultivators. There was no doubt that danger was often accompanied by opportunity. The 3 lists and 1 chart are reopening. The battle between the peerless geniuses is about to begin. This time, the battle will be in the heavens above. It will definitely be unprecedentedly tragic. Geniuses, only those who can survive in the ancient painting can become true geniuses. Talent doesn't mean everything. Suddenly, countless cultivators in the demon court awoke from their cultivation. Their eyes shone brightly as they looked at the sky. They had also seen the ancient words in the sky when the ancient map had appeared. They couldn't help but feel agitated. This was an opportunity, an enormous opportunity. However, one had to rely on oneself to fight for this opportunity. They had to gamble with their lives. The great waves washed away the sand, and only the last was the true gold. Let's go back to our clans and discuss the matter of the ranking with our ancestors. This is an opportunity for the true geniuses of the various races to clash. This is the Battle of Kings. If one has an outstanding battle record, it will be enough to become the new king of the generation. Unsurprisingly, the cultivators who had stayed in the All Heavens courier station and wanted to use the great cultivation environment of the demon court to cultivate in seclusion were no longer in the mood to stay. They quickly packed up and left through the southern heaven gate, hurrying back to their clans. Husband, the 3 lists and 1 chart are finally reopening. Do you really plan to let the right minister, Qi Hua, and Yuan Zhan go to the heavens above to compete for a ranking? In a pavilion in the Jade Pool, Chen Shi leaned his head on Di Shirtian's shoulder and frowned slightly. Clearly, he had also been shaken by the heavenly omen from before. That's right. If one doesn't experience wind and rain and always remains under the protection of the demon court, one can't truly become a powerhouse. If one doesn't experience enough battles and fights with the cultivators of the heavens, one can't comprehend one's realm and grasp one's strength. Fighting with the heavens is endless joy. Fighting with the earth is endless joy. Fighting with the cultivators of the heavens is even more endless joy. Di Shirtian reached out and wrapped his arm around Chen Shi's slender waist. His eyes were filled with determination as he spoke decisively. He would not change his mind about this matter. Husband, you haven't touched Sister Katomi for a long time. Sister Tianxiang, I'm afraid it's also because of the 3 lists and 1 chart. Chen Shi looked up at Di Shirtian with an indescribable smile on her face. The 3 lists and 1 chart. The beauty chart was the most special. It was a chance to bestow life. Even if one was beaten to a pulp, under the power of the beauty chart, one could still be annihilated and reborn. 3 chances meant 3 lives. Those who could enter the list of beauties were all heavenly girls who possessed a unique temperament and beauty that could cause the heavens to be jealous of them. Even the heavens would lose their color in front of them. If such heavenly girls were to fall, even the heavens wouldn't be able to bear it. Every one of them was unique. This was a gift from the heavens to them. However, there was a rather harsh condition to be on the list. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.